Welcome to Jacket Jockeys with Justin.
And me.
Hey, we're back. It's been a while, although it hasn't been a while since our retrospective, but it's been a while since we had new episodes. And season 3 has finally arrived. Here we are,
It has arrived with a bang.
February
And a quack.
20. A bang and a quack. I don't know. Mortimer was pretty quiet. Not a lot of quacking,
Quiet,
honestly.
sweet,
A very
quiet
calm,
Mortimer.
sweet, cuddly dog.
Yeah, but he's got a mean quack.
I'm sure he does, and I hope we hear it in the future.
I do too.
Um, yeah, what a follow up to the whole nugget thing.
Yeah.
It's
It's pretty precious.
it makes sense, but yeah, there's something very I don't know. It's interesting that that's the direction it's taking now. Yeah, so we're going to as you know, if you're here in 2025 February watching along with us, we are dealing with two new episodes. They're doing that thing, coming out of the gate with two new ones. So we have season 3, episode 1 called "It Girl,"
Oh
which is
boy.
definitely a troll, and then
Yeah. A lot of trolling in that.
and then we have yeah, okay, sorry, I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
And then we have season 3, episode 2 called "Dislocation." Also, not a troll, but a pun.
Mhm.
Um, so we yeah, this thing it reminds me of when like there were a couple of times on Lost. Like the most obvious thing I can think of off the top of my head is like in the season finale when Sawyer actually says "Smokey," because
Oh,
it's like a thing the fans say,
right.
and then they like bring it into the show.
Yeah.
There's actually another example of that coming up soon. In Yellowjackets that I'll mention when we get there. But anyway, like we're going meta here. It's like they're very aware seemingly of what the audience is talking about, and they're like playing that
Yeah.
against them.
Well, they've had 2 years to read all of our posts and listen to all of our
Yeah.
podcasts.
And I do hope that they've listened to us. Hello, Yellowjackets team. Thanks for listening. I hope that we can provide you some advice, and feel free to consult in advance if you forget, for example, what the drug was in the syringe, because apparently you fucking did.
Oh boy.
Anyway,
Here we go.
minor point, but it's just like simple things. All right.
No,
So
no, wait. What? Why? No. 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 She brought her own vial of fentanyl.
didn't she say when I looked it up on Wikipedia, it said it was phenobarbital. Wasn't it stated in the episode that it was phenobarbital?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Lottie had phenobarbital to put in the the tea when it was going to be like
Yeah.
Russian roulette, but fentanyl is what she used to kill Tori. Uh
I thought that was phenobarbital too.
no, it was fentanyl because it would just show up as a drug overdose. And there's this history of
Well, why did they say
addiction.
that on Wikipedia?
I mean, I think it's a logical conclusion to come to that it's the same drug that was at play that same night, earlier that night, or the night before, I guess. Um I but it was a callback to the thing with what's her name? Jessica Roberts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Should we pause?
okay. No, I mean, I wish I had done more because as soon as I saw that it said, "Oh, she sticks a syringe with phenobarbital into Natalie's chest," like it just says that casually on Wikipedia. I just assumed like, okay, well then probably, but I didn't dig deeper into like the transcripts to see how they confirmed that specifically, and I don't
Yeah,
actually
I think
remember.
that was just an error, that it was just like you would just assume that it was that. But we saw her with the syringe of fentanyl with the chocolates and then with the cigarettes and
Yeah, so I thought that was phenobarbital. So anyway, I thought they both were. And I thought that's what she said, but I would have to look up the transcripts for that. We'll get back to you next week with an
well, you
update.
don't have to because I'm right. So, anyhow.
Well, I just want to verify because
Uh-huh.
I didn't
Sure.
I didn't look well enough in to be sure. You might be right, and
Do we think
obviously
it's Mortimer?
obviously that's what they think, but it seemed like an error to me, but maybe it isn't. We'll return to that later. But anyway, yeah, so we got quite a lot to get through. We got 2 episodes worth of stuff. And so do you want to just like
Yeah,
get on that road?
let's ride that train.
All right. So in season 3, episode 1, It Girl, we start. It's hard to say that
Ugh,
without laughing. We start off by getting previously on that summarizes the previous season, and I just have to briefly complain that they again use that scene of
yeah,
Ty saying, that sleepwalking I told you about is getting worse. That was never actually in the show, but has appeared in the previously on many times.
yeah,
So maybe it is in the show. I don't know. You know what it reminds me of? I'm sorry I have to say this, just going back to Lost, like there are people to this day who will complain that Michael is going around yelling for Walt all the time. And I'm 100% convinced that the only reason people say that Michael is going around yelling for Walt all the time, which he wasn't, watch the show, y'all, is because they kept playing in the previously on.
yeah,
They played that over and over again just to explain the context. And yes, in the scene where the others took Walt off the boat, he yelled for Walt a lot. That's fucking normal, y'all. Like, what? Why are you? Anyway, sorry. That's just a pet peeve of mine.
yeah,
It's just like, oh yeah, he was just like walking around the camp. Whoa! It's like that did not happen.
yeah.
Anyway, sorry. It just reminds me of that. It's like
The most important thing is that we never let it go.
they've shown it in the previous song so much, it might as well have been in the show. But it's like I'm just stuck
Well,
on
we don't know who she was on the phone with either because it didn't actually happen.
I'm just stuck on they considered it so important for exposition that they've shown it like I
They
think
haven't.
about 3 or 4 times, but they didn't consider it important enough to put in the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just gets me, so I had to say something.
Mm-hmm.
We can move on.
I hope
Um,
so.
okay. All right. So I'm gonna go with I think I said this last time in the finale episode of season 2. I'm gonna go with past and present because we're basically dealing with 2 time periods here. They're not they haven't, at least in the first 2 episodes, they haven't done any further like flashbacks. I don't think they really did those in season 2 either. I mean, the closest thing to flashbacks were like middle backs,
Yeah.
like from that interim period, but not like for before the crash and all that.
Yeah.
Which we did get some in season 1.
Yeah.
So anyway, past means you know what it means. Okay, so we start.
You, I mean, I certainly hope so. I mean, y'all go watch the episode. Like, you should watch the episode. Don't just rely on us to
Do
provide
rely. I'm
a
very reliable.
description of what happens.
It's just to like give us the
Yeah.
context, remind us all what's going on.
Yeah. If you find that you don't remember based on what he's saying, maybe just make sure that you did watch it. It's just like major spoilers if you didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was like, oh shit, it was actually that the new episode of Severance is what I had watched, but I forgot it did. All right, what happens? We open on
And then Irving
everybody's.
said, "All right.
We open on
Anyway,
everybody's favorite
um,
it girl,
oh Dylan, what are
Mari.
your hijinks this week? Anyway, okay. So yes, we open up in the past. This is such a Lost style opening. We open up with like there's like multiple levels of trolling going on here.
Yeah,
Anyway, we see someone running and there's like sounds and they're basically like
snow's gone.
they're like mimicking the scene from the pilot,
Yeah,
clearly, like they're referencing it visually. It's like when they would go back to that eye-opening scene in Lost, like
yeah.
they're like, and but then they show it's Mari, which clearly they're aware
They're
that
fucking with us, of
like people
course.
are like, it has to be Mari, right? And they've already cast someone who like actually it could be her too, like
Yeah,
now, like with like the right hair color and stuff. So
yeah.
it's like, okay. Anyway, I'm not so sure anymore. I don't think it matters that much. Going back to the season 2 retrospective, I think people are overblow that mystery a bit. That's my thought about that. Anyway, it's Mari, and we think like the other level that they're trolling us here is they're making us think that she's in a hunt, even
Right.
though it's not winter, so we know it can't be the pit girl scene. you
Right.
know, but
Right.
like they're making us,
There's no costumes.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
they're just playing with our
Yeah,
expectations. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they're trying to, yeah. She's running, she avoids two of them and then gets like leg tackled by Shauna. Shauna tries to grab it, which is like something in Mari's hand. We don't know what it is. It's sort of revealed later. Um, took me it took a while for me to understand what it was they were actually grabbing. Not that it
Yeah, I was
matters.
like, "Oh shit, it's the locket." But then you see that what's her name is wearing the locket and I was like, "What the fuck is in her hand then?" Anyway.
Oh, who's wearing the locket? I didn't actually catch that.
Um Natalie, I believe,
Natalie. Okay.
is wearing the
Okay.
locket.
Okay.
Or it's not a locket, the heart.
The necklace
Yeah,
thing.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
necklace.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, she tries to grab it in Mari's hand. Finally, she resorts to biting. And then at this point, Valentine, Natalie, and Melissa pull her off Mari. Natalie says, "You know the rules. You get tagged, you give it up." Mari shows her hands. They're empty. And it's revealed that Misty actually has it. So Mari and Van high five as Ty realizes they knew it was a trick. And they run after Misty. Shauna tackles Misty, who throws the thing to Gen, who jumps in the circle of rocks, winning the game for their team. Sorry, I'm going to stick with Gen. I don't care what they say.
No, you're not hearing any feedback from me.
All right. I just wanted to make sure it was clear. All right. So, yeah, Mari taunts Shauna and makes a backwards L finger that Shauna mocks, calling her a moron. The winning team celebrates with buzz, buzz, buzz into the credits.
Yeah. Yeah. We waited 2 years to watch them play a game that they invented.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's like
No,
capture the flag or
yeah, it's all
ish.
games are the same game.
Yeah, there's like
There are
one
3
game.
games. There are
Oh,
3 games.
sorry.
There's get the thing in the hole. There's get the person to the place.
Actually, they have a name for it. They say it later.
Yeah,
Anyway,
it's like bone tag.
yeah, capture. Yeah,
Capture
it's
the
like capture
bone.
the bone or something. And
Anyway.
Van's like, we should workshop that. Anyway.
Yeah, they should workshop that. Anyway.
um. Yeah. So. We can talk about that more later, but yeah,
That's okay.
it's pretty clear. No, no, no. There's a scene about it,
Yeah.
so it'll come up. But yeah, any further comment or okay?
No, I
'Cause
mean I enjoyed it. It's it's fun. You get to see them play not
it's fun
soccer.
times,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Like there's not been a lot of that in the
Except that you can
wilderness.
definitely already tell that Shauna wants to kill Mari,
Oh
and
man.
I agree with what they say later that they should have just eaten her first.
Shauna is so mad and like I think I guess yeah, if I'm gonna speak overall, because we'll get several illustrations of this and I might as well just say it now and then I don't have to say it later. Um, I was complaining on the season 2 retrospective and also back in the day about the big outburst that Shauna has. And I think my main annoyance with it was the way they like brought up, you ate my baby. Like that just bugged me. But I think the general idea that she's filled with rage, that they're like leading it, like I that's okay. Like I think I'm sort of like softening on that thing a bit. Like now I've seen that they're following through, you know?
Listeners, rest assured he will learn nothing from this.
Look, it doesn't always happen, all right? And like stuff like that can be just functional and it can really annoy me. But yeah, in this case, like it does seem like they were pushing the character in a certain direction that they're actually maintaining, and therefore I'm letting it go. Okay. So so yeah, back after the credits, we see in a really pleasant montage set to Cat Stevens. um, we see that they built a camp of huts to live in after the.
Beautiful, beautiful, like architecture digest level, beautiful. Is it architectural digest? Anyway,
I
beautiful.
think it is.
Yeah, but I just said it wrong. Doesn't
Oh,
matter.
I don't.
We're
I
gonna
didn't
get
catch what you
feedback.
said. I thought it was
Doesn't,
right.
it doesn't matter.
All right. All right. We're gonna get feedback. Yeah. Our listeners are so picky. Every fucking thing we think, oh, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. All right. Anyway. Yeah. After the cabin burned, right? Remember the end of last season.
Right?
Hopefully
Remember?
you saw the
You
end of
should
last
also have
season.
watched the previous
Yeah, don't
seasons.
start with this one. I don't care if you think the previous season's enough. I don't think it is.
It was
Um,
pretty
it
it
was
was
it was
pretty
thorough. It
thorough,
was thorough
but you would
for
be
sure.
lost. Yeah.
But it's still like anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. We see a book about ancient architecture to explain how they learned, I guess, that they
Hmm.
saved from the fire because dot dot dot. All right, let's not ask about that. Maybe it was in the plane. Who knows? That's my best guess.
It flew out the window with the fire. One of the windows burst, and it just like flew
Yeah, the
out.
wilderness provides, right? Come on, it
Along
was
with
it.
like some of those mugs we see
Yeah,
later.
yeah. They have a whole bunch of mugs too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Don't even ask. Don't even fucking ask. Dharma job? I don't know. Anyway, we see Aquila has a pen full of bunnies. And these are real bunnies actually. They're like living for real. I just want to
Well, we
make
thought
sure we're
Nugget
clear on
was
that.
living for quite a while.
It would be crazy if they reveal it's a pen full
Yeah.
of dead bunnies, but I kind of doubt that. We'll see. Um, all right. And then we see three graves. Gen walks into camp with a dead bird and a gun, suggesting that the other thing we complained about,
Mhm.
which is that they should have apprentices, and they actually did pay attention to
They
that.
heard our feedback.
So Gen gets some
You're
hunter
welcome.
training, and Melissa gets some butchery training. So there is actually like they're addressing it. I don't know. I thought they didn't give a shit, but apparently they do. Okay. We see Van and Ty, and then we see some fucking new ass red shirt yellow jackets that they just threw in there, even though like I
Yeah.
feel like they showed everyone last season there isn't room for extras, but
Nah, they did the calorie math.
they need some fodder, and I guess we got a
They need
couple of
some
new.
literal fodder.
Yeah, like I don't know what their names are. If they become important, I'll look them up. But for now, I'm just gonna call them red shirts.
It's Jessica and
Jessica and Jalissa.
no, no, because Melissa is spelled the normal way. It's Goy. Jessica
Jessica
and
Goy. Okay,
Goy
all right,
and
gotcha.
Gulia.
Just, Goy's actually Jewish, surprisingly. Anyway,
Wow. No one saw that coming.
okay. They wanted to confuse people. Okay. So, yeah. So I'll come back to that when and if it matters. But these characters play no role in these episodes, so
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna bother. But they're playing telephone. And like Travis
It's
is at the
so
end,
stupid. I hate
and
it
it's
so
it's
much.
it's very touching. I wrote it's
It,
all very
it's all
touching.
very touching.
So I'm sorry, but you're
Okay.
wrong. It's all very touching.
Yeah.
And then Misty blows the horn, and they all gather. Mari taunts Shauna again. Natalie tries to stop it. Shauna turns away from the crowd. She's not going to the meeting. Natalie suggests going because, quote, Van's been working so hard. But Shauna asks Natalie if she's telling her to go, and Natalie says no. But
Hmm.
Shauna sarcastically says, "Thank you, my queen," and does a little bow and walks into a hut. And then Van says, "Welcome to the first summer solstice festival," and she
First annual. There's a line because it's like annual.
Oh, really? She says
Yeah,
annual. Oh, I didn't
what
write that
the
down.
fuck? I mean, solstices are it's an annual thing, but it is a little bit like, whoa.
Yeah, you're right. It's a commitment to be like annual. Yeah. I mean, if I'm reading the timeline right, this will be the only one for the record,
Yeah.
unless they do it when they come back. But anyway, um, let's see, where was it here? Right, here it is. Van congratulates the winners of Capture the Bone.
Capture the
That's the name of the game
yeah.
that she says they should workshop. So I think that means it was the Bone Talisman. I couldn't tell from looking at it, but
It looks like
just
it looked to me like the bone
yeah.
talisman.
So yeah. So anyway, I think that's what it was. Misty leads a short victory chant for the winning team. It's like spread that V, something that I, something that CTORY. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
remember.
clearly like a cheer from
Yeah.
back in their
Yeah. Soccer
pre-crunch.
days. Yeah. The losing team is supposed to be their servants for the day. Um, Van starts her story with previously on the Yellowjackets. So this is the
Yeah.
second troll. They're like meta moments, or it's like, okay, that's weird. Like to literally have her get up and, but it's like, and I'm like, in the 90s, like I know they actually did previously on Twin Peaks, so it's not impossible that they're familiar with this idea, but serialized TV was much less of a thing back then. So I'm just
Yeah, but you could
like,
count on it for the really good ones, like the finales,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe
repeat.
X-Files did that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's good enough.
For
She did
two
reference X-Files
parters.
at a certain point. So anyway.
It's a nice continuation of her retelling movie plots.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They had that. I was gonna say, the season 2 finale was called storytelling, and I was talking about like, oh, everybody's telling a story, and there is a point where like Van tells a story. It's kind of similar to this, actually. They kind of
Uh-huh.
gather around, and
Yeah.
it's about the wilderness and shit. But this is like like this partially serves as like exposition to explain stuff that's happened in the interim period that we missed here.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just going
For
to
sure.
I'm just gonna actually read a lot of it because
Mhm.
I think it's worth saying. So we see some others there as Van tells the story, including Lottie for the first time. That's her first appearance. She wasn't in that opening game scene.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she was off trying to get Travis to crazy.
yeah, yeah, he wasn't there either. So yeah, yeah, something's going on there. We will obviously come back to that. Okay, on the verge of making history by sweeping nationals without giving up a single goal, thanks mostly to the raddest goalkeeper in the history of the sport. Our heroes, no, our sheroes were robbed of fame and fortune by the cruel hand of fate and by mechanical failure or possibly pilot error, unclear. I love this. This feels like a lost reference to me because Hurley says something almost exactly like this when he's telling the story of what happened on the island to his mom when they're back in the real world. He's like,
Mhm.
and there was a guy down there, and he had to push the button, or I don't know. I wasn't really clear on that. it's like it's like the show acknowledging, yeah, we didn't really explain that, so
Yeah.
deal with it because it's true. The crash has never been explained. I don't expect it to be. Okay, but no mere plane crash could keep our intrepid girls and a few dudes down. No, they rose to this new challenge like the champions they were always meant to be. At this point, Shauna cuts in from her journal, talking about the bad side of what happened from her point of view. She mentions Jackie and maybe mainly the baby thing and saying everyone else talked about sacrifices and miracles. And then we go back to Van, but with their sacrifices came miracles. They survived hunger, they survived blizzards, they survived the shit bucket. Now, could they survive an unthinkable attack by a raging psychopath, a homicidal monster masquerading as a hot, if you're into that kind of thing, high school soccer coach? You bet your ass they could. Now, thanks to their unlikely new leader, they worked for 12 days and nights to feed the very fire that destroyed their home. And seeing their courage and their faith, the wilderness then provided the greatest miracle yet. Spring came, and with it, a new beginning. During this, we see Natalie have a reaction to the coach thing. We'll come back to that. Travis walks away, and Lottie follows. After this, Shauna gives her version, and we cut back and forth between the two narratives. It is mentioned that Natalie trained Gin in hunting, and that Ty was in charge of building the huts. So you can take it up with her if you think they're good. Apparently, anyway,
I
that's
think
where
they're
that came from.
too good is my point.
Yeah, well, she's just too good. All
She's
right,
just too
look,
good.
it's
Yeah.
about doing shit
She's a
right
champion architect, just like she's a champion soccer player.
and champion state senator. Anyway, we'll come back to
Mm.
that. Okay. Shauna talks about worshiping spirits and feasting on flesh and says they liked it and invented fairy tales to cover it. She says even if they are rescued, they can never go home again, ending the rant mid sentence and looking at the camera. as we go back to the present. It's a weird moment. She looks straight at the camera at the end of this.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what that's
I
supposed to
can't believe
mean,
I didn't notice
but
that.
it does happen. Yeah, it's
Wow.
right at the end when we cut out. Yeah, so this is like, like I said, is filling in. So like a couple of key bits of information aside from just like, okay, like, how they build these huts and blah blah blah. Like we learned that first of all, they fed the fire of the cabin for 12 days and like survived that way, and then like spring came. Like, so it's just like, how did they get through that period, right?
Right.
They're trying to explain that. And then it also reveals that they believe that Coach Ben burned the cabin, which these episodes don't quite confirm. We'll see where they go with that. I feel like it is the only thing that makes sense, and it's like, and I'll mention later like a couple of points that I feel like point in that direction. But anyway, it's interesting that there's every opportunity to confirm it, and they don't. So, uh, but they think that he did it, which is very logical. That's why we think it. Um, as mentioned later, who the fuck else would do this? Um, but yeah, this whole thing, kind of picking up on Shauna's anger, but also picking up on the diary, like journal ranting that she was doing at the end of last season. Like, it's like, oh, okay, like I kind of get this now. Like it seemed weird and like random to me, but yeah, it's like she's not buying into the mythology, which makes sense. Like that's, I think she's been pretty consistent about that. She'll like join in to live, but like
Yeah.
never really buying into the like mythology of what it
Yeah.
means, and like making it some kind of like larger force guiding them or whatever. Um and also like in a way I feel like she's turning into like more like what Jackie was at the end of her
Yeah,
life.
it's definitely like Jackie. Like she's alienated from the rest of the group.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not quite at that level, but she's not buying into it.
Yeah, and
Although we do
just
see her, I mean, she plays Capture the Bone.
that's true, but very aggressively. more than more aggressively than any of them
How
seem
do
to
you
be.
think you make it to nationals?
Fair point. Fair point. But yeah, just that, like Jackie was confronting them about the Doom coming thing, that they weren't willing to fully
Right.
acknowledge, and I feel like Shauna's sort of doing that here. Like they're like papering over like the
Yeah.
bad parts of what happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, like because they have it easier now, it's easy for them to like sweep that under the rug. But like Shauna's like,
Yeah.
I'm not forgetting that happened. Um okay. So then we go back to the present. Callie's smoking some chronic. Yeah, kids, you remember that? You remember chronic? Anyway, she gets a call and puts some pants on, and Shauna comes in and says Callie's running late, and they should eat more disgusting oatmeal. Shauna mentions Natalie's funeral is today. Callie says she's got to leave. Shauna complains that Callie didn't do the dishes. Callie scoffs. Shauna sniffs the chronic. Callie waves it off and leaves.
Yeah. That's what happened.
That's what happened. Yeah, chronic is a running gag here. Um, and yeah, this is
I
just
agree about oatmeal. Gotta say.
yeah. I like oatmeal actually. Um, Okay. Yeah. Misty is trying to meditate when Walter comes in. Walter asks about leaving for Natalie's memorial. Misty wants Walter to leave. Walter puts a key on the bedside table. It's a key to Natalie's storage unit. He suggests making sure there isn't anything incriminating or sentimental in there, and then he leaves.
With a sneaky little look on his face.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Sweet
Wrapping up
sweet
the.
Walter.
I know.
Um
He's doing his best, but
he's
it's
right at every
he's
stage in
definitely
this
right, and
episode.
I must rant about that later, but not here because it's not really coming up yet.
Yeah.
Um, but just tying up that loose end of the storage unit from season one, like I kind
Yeah.
of forgot about it, but yeah, like that was the thing. So anyway, um Okay. Then we see Natalie's funeral. I was a little curious that there's just some like random people there. Like, who are these people? Anyway, not that she couldn't have known anyone that we don't know about, but
Yeah.
it's just like kind of weird on a TV show. Like, I don't know.
Not
You,
a funeral. I mean, at a funeral on a TV show, of course we're not gonna see everybody.
yeah,
But it's like deliberately sparsely attended.
yeah, sure. I expected to just be characters we know there, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've seen that version before, and like she hadn't really even been living there, and anyway, whatever. It's fine. It struck me as odd. Okay. Natalie's mom gets up and tells a short story about pushing Natalie on the swing and ends the speech abruptly. Ty
Touching.
Van, yeah, very touching. Yeah, it's like Ty, okay, I'll come back to it. Ty, Van, Jeff, and Shauna look on in disbelief and they get up. Okay, let me go to the next scene. So this is our Natalie funeral. Thanks, y'all. It reminds me of when they do Locke's funeral in Lost. And Ben's like, he believed in stuff, and I'm sorry I murdered him. Thank you, good night. Like, it's like, okay, like, wow, that's not much for a main character. Anyway,
I mean, it's
um,
very on brand for that mom.
oh, definitely. Um, Later, Shauna, Ty, and Van toast to Nat at a bar. Ty mentions the thing with Nat's dad, the flashback from season one. Shauna says it's a miracle she survived before we survived. Van suggests that you could just say hate each other. Nat wasn't into bullshit. Shauna wonders what it means, their lives. What would people say at her funeral? Then she gives a mock eulogy saying she was a bad wife and mother and is survived by a messed up daughter and a husband who blossomed after her death. Ty gives her eulogy mentioning she is the quote, first state senator to impeach herself before taking office. I don't know if you're allowed to impeach yourself, but minor point. Van says, no one's dying tomorrow, so we still have time to workshop our eulogies before they all reconvene in hell.
Workshop. Oh, Van.
Classic Van. Yeah, workshop, the same term
Yeah.
she used in the flashback. So yeah, they're kind of tying that together. Um, let's see. Ty says, speaking of hell, where's Misty? And Van realizes that Ty didn't tell her about it, even though she said she would. Ty says Lottie isn't there either, but Van says she's in a facility for the quote, differently sane. Shauna thinks Misty could have found out some other way. She probably bugged the table. Meanwhile, someone with light-colored hair is watching them across the restaurant, and ominous music plays. Shauna looks over, concerned, but says nothing. Then she joke talks into the salt shaker to Misty. Okay, so I have a few comments to make about this scene.
Yeah.
Just a minor point. Again, God, am I going to be talking about Lost all day? I think I am.
Let's not.
I'm sorry, just minor point. So like something that kind of bothered me, it's not just Lost that does this, but this is an example that comes to mind. Like when there's a thing on the show that is kind of a secret that they aren't showing or saying out loud for a long time, like then once it's kind of out in the open, people will just talk about it like whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like the Jeremy Bentham thing on Lost. That's Locke's alias when he goes back to the real world. And they're saying Jeremy Bentham for season 4 entirely. And then when it gets to season 5 and they reveal this Locke, Hurley's like, you mean Locke, right? And Simon's like, yeah, it's Locke, whatever. Like, they don't care, right? Because we're done with that like subterfuge. So this whole thing, like, you could just say we ate each other. I think Nat, would be like direct about it. And I'm like, no, she wasn't. She never fucking said, yeah, hey, we ate each other. That was never stated.
Yeah.
They were all cagey about it, and they have been this whole time. This thing Van says is the most direct they've ever been about it. Even in season 2.
Yeah, and they don't even blink.
Even when they're doing the sacrifice.
Yeah.
They don't talk about the fact that they would eat the sacrificed person. They don't even, it's almost like they're not even doing it. I mean, that's what I talked about at the time. Like it wasn't for survival, but like there's no discussion of what's gonna happen after they're dead. Like, are we gonna do what we did before? Right? It's like you would think if it was gonna come up, it would have come up there. It doesn't even come up there. So anyway, I just feel like that's like kind of off, but I think part of the reason why is because they were being extra cagey earlier in the show, and so they didn't have anyone say anything like that.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
know?
I
Like in
agree.
general, I agree Natalie wasn't into bullshit, but like about this, I kind of think she was.
Yeah, that's just how TV works.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Okay. So yeah, then we get this thing casually explaining what happened with the state senator situation.
Yeah, right.
Because obviously
Which we had
they,
talked about many
yeah,
times.
obviously they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
And I just want to use this opportunity to register my disappointment that we went through an entire plot of season one about her
Yeah.
being elected state senator and she wins, and then they just fucking dropped it. That just bugs me.
Your disappointment has been entered into the record.
I just have to, I have to say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I agree.
There's another thing I want to complain about, but that's coming up later. So I won't do it now. Okay. Um, yeah. So then this other thing with this, like, it's like a classic horror shot of like someone's watching
Yeah.
them from a distance. I didn't even understand it because the first time we watched this, like, I couldn't even tell what I was looking at in the shot. Like, I didn't understand it was them from a distance.
Yeah, I have to go on the record and say that I did, and I'm so shocked that as much horror as you watch, that you didn't put it together.
Yeah, it's I thought that was what Shauna was looking at. And I
Yeah.
think that's why I was confused. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm like looking for something, like, what am I supposed to be looking at here? Like and so anyway, and like that happens a lot when they show a shot and we're supposed to know what we're looking at, and like I'm looking at the wrong place on the screen, and then
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
um
I get it.
so yeah, and yeah, the other thing I was gonna say is like a lot of times in the horror movie when they do this, they'll show the camera moving,
Yeah,
right, which helps. And the other thing they do a lot of times is like they'll play a heartbeat or they'll play breathing or something
yeah.
to give you a clearer sense of point of view. I don't know. And the hair is like kind of subtle in this shot. It's clearer later.
Uh-huh.
uh
Oh yeah, definitely.
like that,
I
like
didn't actually notice the
in
hair.
the later shot, yeah, see, right, it's subtle, it's there, but like it's not obvious. And in
Mhm.
the later shot, I absolutely caught it. I understood what the shot was
Yeah.
outside of
Oh
house.
yeah.
That's more of a classic thing, but
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, I missed the point. But this is actually I'm gonna call this our first mystery of the season. Like,
Yeah.
who is this person? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Right, what's the point? Are they from the Yellowjackets? Is it Melissa? That's the obvious
Yeah,
question
we are led to believe
that we're
that it will
led
be
to
Melissa.
at the end of episode 2. It's heavily implied that that's who it is,
Uh,
even though I don't trust this show to like not mislead us.
oh yeah, for sure.
We all remember Javi and Adam.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I don't trust them not to trick us.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll see.
we will see. We will see. Okay. So, continuing from there, Misty arrives at Natalie's storage unit and starts going through stuff, sorting it into keep and trash. She finds a leather jacket and sniffs it. And that leather jacket is going to become her like super power costume.
Yeah, it's a great jacket.
Yeah, I think they actually showed her wearing that at a certain point. It seems familiar to me.
You mean
Anyway,
showing Natalie wearing it?
yeah, Natalie wearing
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Misty obviously wears it later. We will come back to that. Okay. So wait. Back to the past.
Back to the past.
Because I'm like, this better be in the past. Shauna asks Melissa to help with a hunk of meat she's preparing. Mari and Gen hang out and taunt them. Melissa's about to go over, but Shauna stops her, saying, I can't believe we didn't eat that bitch first. Melissa says, Mari's so dumb, I heard she chipped a tooth on her vibrator. Shauna is surprised that Melissa has a personality, and so are we. Akila shows up with some kind of crown for Shauna. Lottie asked her to make it for the ceremony tonight, implying it's for the baby. Shauna says she's not wearing it and knocks it to the ground. Melissa steps on it accidentally in solidarity. Akila picks it up and walks away. Okay, so we'll come back to that. Meanwhile, there's a council meeting with Natalie leading and Van Gin and Ty attending. Misty
Oh,
tries.
Misty.
I know. I, yeah. I got something to say about Misty, and I will say it, but maybe not here. Misty tries to get in, offering to take minutes, but Natalie gently shoos her away. Nat asks again about the
Minutes.
hunting.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
ain't no fucking Robert's Rules of Order here.
I know.
We're
That's
not
like
doing that.
that's like such a Misty thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Nat asks again about the hunting. She says it's good. Van asks about Coach Ben, but Natalie says he's dead. And we cut to Coach Ben
Oh
walking through the
yeah.
woods. Classic.
It's a great cut.
Classic cut. He sets a trap with some acorns. The meeting adjourns. Ty stops Natalie.
There's so many acorns in these woods. Good luck. Good luck.
No,
What?
no, I want those acorns
Those
because
are
they're
magical
good.
acorns.
Because Dansky Ben put them there for me.
God.
All right. All right. The meeting adjourns. Ty stops Natalie to ask about Shauna and Mari, saying it's becoming a problem. Natalie doesn't think it's a big deal, referencing the say one nice thing about the other person scene from the pilot.
Yeah.
Ty says, maybe it's all life or death, and says, don't forget what happened to Jackie as she walks out.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben looks at a leaf. He walks around some more. His crutch lands on something solid in the ground. He uncovers it and finds some boards.
Yeah.
We see him rip the boards away.
He removes every single one of them. I don't know. That just bothers me. You're always sharing the random bullshit that bothers you. That bothers me.
Hey, fair enough. We see him rip the boards away, uncovering a pit. He
Indeed.
climbs down a ladder into the pit. He uncovers a case and he opens the case. And inside the case, there are supplies, including food. He eats a protein bar ferociously,
Ugh. Take
stuffing it in
more
his
time.
mouth.
Take multiple bites, please.
So I feel that this is the last reference. I feel we're getting a reference to not only the hatch, but also the supply drop. It feels like it's like a 2-for-1.
I'm not confident that that is intentional.
Maybe it's not intentional, but nonetheless, it's very similar ideas.
It is evocative of that too.
Yes. Yes. And I'm sure they've seen Lost, and I find it hard to believe that at the very least they didn't realize that this is similar to stuff from Lost.
Fair
Like
enough.
not just stuff from Lost, but kind of legendary stuff from Lost.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah, we'll come back to that. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say, I do think that I think this is the pit from the pilot.
Oh yeah, I definitely think this is
which means that they didn't dig it. It was already there. Like maybe Cabin Guy did it, I guess. Like
yeah.
I don't really know what to think.
So I mean, this is really interesting. Who put this here?
Yeah, I guess this is
Where are they now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it quite interesting.
Because like Cabin Guy's the only candidate I have for like who could have done, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't Cabin Guy, who the fuck was it? You know?
Yeah, but I mean it's
But wasn't it French? Although was he French or they just made that up? Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
I think they just made that up.
I think they made it up too.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of we don't see everything that is in those because there's multiple of these
Yeah, case things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We only see one.
Crate, what is the word that I'm
Oh yeah, you could call them
There's
crates.
a word. Anyway, like a footlocker kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
they're really sturdy, like
yeah,
big things.
so it's sort of we don't see what like it doesn't obviously look like a prepper kind of a thing, but it doesn't obviously look like a hunter kind of a thing. But I
What's
can't
a prepper?
prepper like doomsday prepper.
Oh,
You
gotcha. Yeah, yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
like but it's kind of and it's hidden.
Yeah,
It's
why
not
was that
clear
there?
how close it is to the cabin. It doesn't seem like it ought to be that close to the cabin,
Yeah,
and it's hidden.
yeah,
And so like somebody put it there.
yeah,
And if it was cabin guy, why is it so far from the cabin? And if it wasn't cabin guy, what else is nearby?
yeah, 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 yeah,
There's no road. So they got that stuff there somehow, you
yeah.
know? So these are questions.
I, as you said that, I just had a thought because there is this extra episode from season two
Yeah, it might connect to that.
that they said they were going to release between the two seasons, but changed their mind. And uh, as you said that, I started to wonder, oh, did they change their mind because they want to put stuff in season three and like maybe even film some more scenes and like kind of change that episode to release later?
Yeah, that makes
Like,
sense.
I feel like that could be true. Like, they realized like what they did maybe wasn't enough, or they wanted to add something to it and incorporate, and
Hmm.
also like add intrigue to season
Add
three,
intrigue. Yeah, I can see
because we
that.
already saw the cabin guy thing. Like, this is a different,
Yeah.
you know? So either they already put it in the episode or they'll add it. I don't know, like, which
Yeah,
way.
but if like cabin guy, let's say cabin guy starts to go crazy, or maybe it's not go crazy, maybe it's something else, but let's say cabin guy is maybe tuning into whatever it is that Javi is tuning into,
Yeah.
or Travis is tuning into, or that Javi was
Yeah.
tuning into. I mean,
Was.
there's
Yeah.
like there's something that people are tuning into.
There
If
is.
it's making, and if that's connected to why he, let's assume that he carved the talismans, um and whatever that was also led him to dig this pit and hide supplies in it.
Hmm.
um yeah, I don't know. And then are there possibly other supplies in that cave area as well?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Anyway.
It keeps the mystery going, because I mean that was my disappointment in a way about the cabin burning. Like, I felt like, oh,
Yeah.
then like how are we ever gonna, it just seemed
Yeah.
like there was no way we are ever gonna like resolve what was going on with that.
Yeah.
But it's like it feels like it's keeping that alive, at least potentially, because it even if it isn't cabin guy, it is about someone who was there.
Right.
Clearly this is built by a human. you know and clearly that stuff came from someone,
Yeah.
so but yeah, it just raised a lot of questions, like why would you put a pit in the ground, cover it with boards, and put supplies in there? Like, what are you doing? Like, hiding out? Like, what's the plan? Like, it's really not obvious to me.
Yeah. And was right there, it's pretty deep.
It's very deep.
If you're just looking to bury supplies, it doesn't need to be nearly that
Very
deep.
much not.
But if you maybe put that there to try to catch game, and then you repurposed it,
Mm-hmm. It
and
could be.
yeah,
Yeah, it could be.
they conveniently don't show us how he gets those giant foot lockers out of there.
There's the things you complain about, and there's the things I complain
I'm
about,
just
and they're
saying.
not always the same. And you know
True.
what? That's okay. That didn't really bother me, but like, you're right. For the record, like, it doesn't, like, in
Yeah.
my head, what he did is there's a ladder, and like he tied a rope to the case the way we see him dragging it, and he
Yeah.
climbed up the ladder with the thing hanging, and then he pulled it up. That's what I got.
Yeah. No.
Fair enough, but that's all I got. Okay. So we ready to all
Yeah.
right, so we go back to the present. We have some high school rando girls looking at the Yellowjackets case display, and they talk about Natalie ODing on fentanyl. They also talk about what they did in the woods, getting it specifically wrong, but vaguely right. They mention Callie's mom was out there. They talk about getting Kyle drunk and finding out if Callie is into freaky shit too. The bell rings, they walk away, and we see Callie was right there. at her locker.
Yeah, I like this because high school's terrible. High schoolers are terrible. And everybody knows about the Yellow Jackets. And so
Yeah,
even if they don't know much.
yeah.
And so
They know that it happened,
yeah.
and it's like from that high school,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
So I like that we get to see this.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising we haven't seen this before. I
Yes.
mean, this season does plant a flag definitively that, well, I mean, they did it before, but anyway, it's the first time we've seen Kelly in high school,
Correct.
for the record.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense that like some shit like this would happen at some point.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Obviously there's gonna be follow-up on that.
Oh, yes.
All right. So now Ty is on the phone with Simone asking to talk to Sammy, but she hangs up. Van is in bed. Ty asks Van about signing some papers, but she only signed the DNR. Ty wants them to be together. Van wonders why Ty left her behind before and mentions that she's still married. Ty wants to take her to dinner to a stupidly expensive place. And we'll come back to that.
It's
Obviously,
so Van. That place is just the
the
perfect place for
vanniest van
Vanny's
place that
Van.
ever van.
If you're like, where do you think Van would want to go for dinner?
Cotton candy foie gras.
That's pretty nauseating.
So gross. Yeah, it's like it feels like Portlandia or something. It's so
Uh-huh.
like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So here's where I must make a little comment.
Do.
I was just gonna say that alongside the state senator race thing, I do feel some regret also about Simone and Sammy getting shuttled off
Yeah.
to the sidelines, and I was thinking about it, and like in a way, I think it makes sense. Like if you think about the other characters, like none of them have their family involved in the show, except Shauna,
Right.
and it's
It's
explicit how it's
Shauna.
affecting
Yeah.
them.
Uh-huh.
You know, because they've had to be brought in to
Yeah.
like a lot of crazy stuff happening.
Yeah.
You know, and Walter too, right? Like he's,
Yeah.
you know, he's he's got his own problems. So anyway, just like it's like that's what it would take. And like Simone seeing that altar, I get that she's not coming back from that.
Right.
You know, and so it's like it's sort of logical, but I also you know like we invest in that in season one, and so
Yeah.
I just kind of miss that it's sort of like not even on the show anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. But I didn't think they were gonna have anything new to do with it. So in that sense, it
Yeah.
doesn't bother me.
They'd have to be brought in,
Yeah.
and like I don't see Simone buying it, and like Sammy's
Right.
like too young to be like getting into like this kind of like Callie's like barely old enough to be, you know.
Yeah, kids' stories are always a liability.
Yeah, exactly. And he's gonna get old too fast. That's another problem.
Well,
So
yes.
there's like a Walt thing, and yeah, just like practical like
Yeah.
do you really want to bring like a what like 10-year-old into this? Like that just seems like anyway.
That's bad parenting.
Yeah. So I'll give him that, but yeah, I enjoyed that plot of
Yeah,
season 1, and so I'm
sure.
just like I don't know. I just wish there was more follow-up. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay. Let's see. So where do we go from there? Lost my place. There it is. Okay. Callie looks at her phone and receives a delivery from Randy. Randy says it's a weird order, and after some banter, hands it over. Callie goes back into school. Okay, so
Yeah,
small.
I'm pretty amused by this. It's like that is definitely gonna get you fired.
Well, you know, I was thinking about it because there's a conversation later where Jeff's like, "It wasn't human, was it?" And Shauna jokes like, "I don't think you can DoorDash human entrails," and
Yeah.
it's like, "Yeah, I agree, ha ha ha." But she did DoorDash that shit, you know. So it's like,
Raw meat.
so here's the rationale I came up with. I feel like it's possible that you could get a DoorDash from like a butcher shop or something
Okay.
and order that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Like because they do go to like all kinds of places.
Sure.
You know, and like you could probably get that at a butcher shop. And so
So you just got to go to a human butcher shop.
human butcher shop, hello. Anyway, all
Proud of
right, that's my
himself.
explanation. But yeah, we get our little Randy update.
Randy update.
He found a job, you know, he's back with Tammy. Good for Randy, putting his life back together. Anyway, you know, the blackmail, the B-mail didn't quite work out.
Email.
Um,
Oh.
okay. All right. Shauna searches Callie's room and finds two joints. She blazes one up, and the principal calls about Callie, and Shauna is shocked, and we'll come back to that later.
Shocked Shauna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then we go back to the past. Lottie muddles some mushrooms into water that Travis drinks.
Ugh,
She
yeah.
stands by asking Travis if he feels anything. Travis sits next to her and she says, "Dude, you're so high." She says it's okay to be angry about what happened to Javi, etc. Travis says, "What about Shauna?" But Lottie says it's not a competition, and Shauna was not so receptive to her help. Lottie indirectly reveals that she saw shrinks. She talks about the pills stopping her from seeing things. Then she says it's Travis's therapy session. Travis says she saw things out there, but Lottie adds, "Until I didn't." Travis seems to hear something. It's the trees. They're crying. No, they're screaming. He touches a tree and has a fit. Lottie yells at him that it's not real, and she verifies that she can't hear it. But Travis adds that she will. Ominous shot of the
Yeah,
tree.
very ominous. Very ominous.
So
And indeed,
yeah. It's weird, right?
it seems to come true.
It's weird. They're like Travis's. So yeah, this is a thread through these episodes of like Lottie trying to, for whatever reason, like it's not really clear how this happened. I think, you know, because there was a Lottie Travis thing in season two,
Yeah.
you know, and you know that I didn't quite understand the point they were making, but I think now it's sort of like, okay, maybe I get it, maybe I get the point that they're leading Travis into a place where he's willing to like drink this like mushroom elixir and trip out and like try to like, you know, go into like Lottie's weird spiritual beliefs and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
and right, it helps us to get a sense of how he goes from the Travis that we've seen up to this point to the Travis in the present
right.
timeline.
Yeah. It does connect some of those dots because we didn't know about this when we learned that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, it's an interesting point. Um so uh yeah.
Yeah, this thing though with, you know, you do drugs and then something happens and what does it mean?
Yeah.
You
Like Doom
know,
coming.
yeah, and it's just kind of, maybe nothing. And so, the show can tell us whatever it wants, but of course later, we will get to
Hmm.
this when we get to it.
They all hear
They all
screaming.
hear screaming
Even
and
Mari in the pit.
right.
So it's like we won't be hungry much longer. It's like it seems like it's making a prediction, or like the red blood and the smoke or whatever, you know? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, is he predicting shit now? You know, is he like tuned
Yeah.
in the way Lottie was? Like it seems like it's implying that.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
if we want to believe it, and you know where I stand on that.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out that I like this moment where Lottie says, "Dude, you're so high," because like
Really.
I appreciate the fact that there's times where Lottie is just like totally normal
She's just a
teenager.
teenager. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that thing with the competition with Natalie in season
Yeah.
2, you know,
Yeah.
like good job, fucking loser. You know, it's like
Yeah.
there's this like part of her that isn't a goop sorceress as Shauna describes her
I
later.
love that goop sorceress. It's so
You
good.
know, like it's like she can just kind of like pull back on that, and
Yeah.
and so anyway, like yeah, it's like when I watched it I was like, oh, I forgot she's like, dude, you're so high.
Yeah, there are those moments with all of them where it's like, "Oh, right, you're a teenager."
Yeah, totally. um okay, So yeah, we're coming back to this plot because this is
Yes.
a thing. I suspect this is a
It
thing for a
is
decent
a
part of the
theme.
season, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay. Ben covers the pit with a classic blue tarp. Also feels like a lost reference. Then he covers the tarp with some dirt. Like, where'd he get that tarp anyway?
Yeah, don't
Um,
ask.
yeah, it's the same kind. Thank God for tarp smugglers. Anyway,
Oh boy.
then he covers the tarp with some dirt and roughage. And then we see that he got the cases out somehow. You know, your
Mhm.
point. You know what? When there's no possible way for something to happen, just have it happen off screen.
Yeah.
Screenwriting tip for you kids. Okay. He leaves some bait for quote Bambi, and drags the cases on a rope. Okay. Will Bambi arrive? We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Jeff. Oh, I forgot to put. This is transitioning back to the present. Obviously, Jeff's not in the wilderness, y'all. So back in the present, Jeff asks Shauna about the guts incident with Callie. Shauna minimizes it. Jeff wonders if the guts are human, but Shauna is skeptical that you can DoorDash human entrails. Jeff wonders why she would do it. Shauna offers some flimsy excuses, and then she eats some chips. Jeff wonders why she's so hungry. Jeff summarizes the stuff that happened at the end of season 2 that Callie saw and the stuff she knows about them. Um, Mostly about Shauna being a murderer. Anyway, so it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
I did some blackmail. I'm sure it's mostly that. Like, yeah, I don't think that's a big deal, Jeff. Calm down.
Aw.
No offense, but like,
Poor Jeff.
on the scale of what's happened, that feels like it's pretty close to the bottom.
But I mean, he was there with like the
He
other
was there. It's true.
murder.
It's true. Um, Jeff catches a whiff.
Everybody's forgotten about Kevin. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, he isn't even mentioned.
Yeah.
Neither is Matt, actually. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I still expect it later in the season,
Yeah.
but it doesn't come up. Jeff catches a whiff and asks Shauna if she smokes some chronic. But Shauna denies it and said, don't call it chronic. The kids don't say that anymore. Okay. Then we go to Van and Ty at the fancy restaurant getting served foie gras with house-made cotton candy. The chef recommends one bite.
One bite. Chef recommends one bite.
This bite is worth more than you can make in a month. All right. Anyway, they eat it in one bite. Van
Vanders.
wonders. Is that Vanders? Anyway,
Mhm.
Van wonders why people come there. Ty proposes getting some cheap food and eating on the roof. Van agrees. Then Ty proposes a dine and dash.
What could
Ty,
possibly go wrong?
yeah, I know, right? It's innocent fun. Ty goes first. Van waits a bit and then gets up. She meets Ty outside. The waiter comes outside and calls to them. They run. He chases. They get away as a bus almost hits the waiter, but he's saved by a good Samaritan. But then he has a heart attack. The Samaritan tries to save him. Then we go over to Ty and Van. They make out to glycerine. Ty sees the eyeless guy, but doesn't tell Van. This is the only, like, even remotely the bad one thing
Yeah.
that they reference
Yeah.
in this pair of episodes, for what it's worth.
Yes. It was only a matter of time before glycerine came on to the show.
Yes, totally
Um,
agree. Totally agree.
Also, no waiter will ever do this. I just have to say.
This waiter is maybe a little too committed unto death, I would say.
Unto
Also, I should mention that initially when they chase, it's to what's that song called? Uh, Think we're alone now. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
I had to get to
Yeah,
the
the
line.
Tiffany
The
cover.
Tiffany cover.
Yeah.
I think we're alone now. Yeah, which is from the '80s. You know, so like the show
Yeah.
does branch out from, you know, like
Yeah.
they also did it with that God is alive, magic is afoot thing,
Yeah.
which is from the late '60s. Like they don't exclusively, which I think is good actually, because I think forcing themselves to only use '90s music, like not that there isn't a lot of good stuff there, but like it puts them in a box that I think it's good that they're not like forcing themselves to stay in there,
Yeah.
because like sometimes a song from another era might work better, and
Yeah.
like that's fine. Let's live with it. But glycerine is actually good for the scene, so I'll I have no problem with that.
Mhm.
Um, okay. Yeah, so yeah, this is such a crazy thing. Like, is it are they trying to imply that like he had a heart attack? Like like that somehow Ty is influenced by the bit, like is the appearance of the eyeless guy like
Yeah.
somehow.
I was wondering, oh, is it that the eyeless guy shows up anytime someone dies? And it's like, because, the first time we see him, it's because the
Yeah,
grandmother's dying.
right.
But that's not really
Yeah,
true.
we saw him at that press conference.
And yeah, does he show up when I mean, this doesn't apply to the scene with the grandmother, but to like the
Yeah,
press
the
conference or the
later
dine and dash
scenes.
when she's doing something she knows she's not supposed to be
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah.
But then he also shows up in the wilderness
Yeah.
when she's I don't know, she's just the best. She's in the fugue state as the bad
Following
one.
him under the sway of the bad one.
So
Yeah.
maybe that's the connection. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
What are your thoughts about
when we watched it again,
it?
I thought they were saying that he shows up when the bad one's in control.
Yeah.
And that's what that should mean. Like, definitely at the press conference, I feel like there was some indication that that was what was going on there. There's a scene with Simone later where she's like, "You weren't like yourself at that press conference." And they show her
Yeah.
changing what she's going to say. And she's the one that put Spill on there as the bad one.
Yeah. I mean, it raises the question of whether it's like a switch flip or if it's a bit of a spectrum.
Yeah, it does feel like as the show goes on, it's getting more spectrum-y. In the early part of the show, it felt more like a switch flip.
Yeah.
And like Sammy framing it as the bad one makes it sound like it's a switch flip. But I think you're right that like going forward, like maybe they're gonna make it more of that kind of thing,
Yeah.
sort of an integrated thing, and make it less like some kind of, supernatural like force overtaking her or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because yeah, I'm inclined to not like I'm inclined to minimize anything that's like really unbelievable. So yeah, I'm kind of think it's more a representation of like Ty's doing a bad thing here, like not a hugely bad thing, but like, like it's a questionable, and it has this like really bad consequence,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, does it do that like because, I don't know, it's
Right.
like I mean, I'm inclined to believe it's just a coincidence, like a bad coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't really believe it means anything, but like maybe the show will try to make us think it means something. Anyway, because there's more on this later.
Yeah,
um
there is.
so we'll come back to that, but it's an interesting moment. Okay, so we go back to the past. They're having a solstice dinner with the losing team as servants. Gen. Oh my god, I slipped up. Gen says, "Garcon."
Ugh.
I think repeating a joke from Pulp Fiction. Anyway, Shauna openly spits in Mari's soup.
It's so open.
Like just right in her face, spits in
Yeah.
it. Mari complains. Natalie confronts her, but she denies it. Shauna tells her she should eat, but Mari pours it on the ground, and then they start fighting. They break it up. Natalie puts them on house arrest for a week, but Mari says, "Fuck this," and leaves, and Natalie lets her go.
Ooh.
Because, like,
Yeah.
what are you gonna do? Arrest me? Anyway.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we'll come back to that. But damn, Sean is so harsh in these episodes.
She
It's like
is.
holy shit. I don't like Mari, really, but like this just seemed like too much to me. I don't know.
I
Like
don't know. I think it was just right. No, it's really bold.
like I don't feel like Mari did anything in this episode that really warranted that.
Yeah.
I can understand being pissed, but like she was just making fun of her for losing the game. Like it's not like that, like
Yeah. It's not. It's yeah, and as you pointed out, the playful trash talking
yeah, is
is
a thing.
just it's part of the sport. Yeah, it's part of
Exactly.
being on a team.
Totally, totally. And also to come to Mari's defense, I will never forget that in the moment when Shauna's giving birth, and this whole crazy thing's happening.
Yeah.
Lottie's like, it should, ask the wilderness for help or whatever. And the thing she says is, "Wilderness, I hope, don't let Shauna die."
Yeah.
That's what she says. Like, it's
Yes.
like there's nothing malicious about that.
No, there's not.
And like and this is like one of her main points of like where her aggression is coming from. And so it's like, did you hear that? Like, give her some credit. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I agree. I think I said this when we were doing the podcast, the rewatch podcast, that I really thought that Mari was just insufferable all the time. But on the rewatch, she's not that bad. I mean,
Yeah.
she's really annoying in this episode,
Yeah.
but she's not that bad.
Yeah, and she's definitely annoying at moments in season 2.
Yeah.
But I agree, like the overall picture was more mixed
Yeah.
than what I expected from my
Yeah.
memory. So yeah, like I don't know. I'm not convinced that she's that much worse than any of them are.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go back to the present. Misty walks into a bar and orders a whiskey straight. She jokes about tax season. There's some really funny lines about tax season. I won't repeat them. But it's like really funny.
It's really
like she says, like, initially the bartender, like, "Oh, I'm not here to do my taxes." And then like, it's not even tax season, It's like, well, like, but you can do your taxes early. Well, that's a little early to do your taxes, if you know what I mean. Like, she's like having a routine.
It's so good. I
like
love
no one's
it.
paying attention
I
to.
love it.
It's actually a great scene. Yeah, I just have to. I mean, I'm not alone in praising Christina Ricci, but this is why
she's so good.
This is one of the reasons why we gotta have the adult plot.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I like the younger Misty a lot too, but like this stuff's incredible.
She's so good.
Okay. Yeah, so a guy comes up and compliments Misty's jacket.
No.
Yeah, shouldn't have done that. Yeah, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
That's literally all he said. Nice jacket.
It comes across as sincere.
I think it was sincere. I think it was 100% sincere. And it's like not, yeah.
He almost gets his crotchlet on.
She's not taking it that way. Okay. So then we get a montage of Misty drinking whiskey. The bartender eventually cuts her off. And she sees T and Natalie in the mirror telling her not to take shit from anyone.
Yeah.
Then she looks at Jacket Guy playing pool and goes over and asks if he has a problem with her jacket. And he says he just liked the jacket. And Misty says she doesn't look like a threat, but she's lit dicks on fire. That was the line. And then she throws beer at their crotches and grabs a candle.
It's so funny. It's so funny. It's so funny. So, of course, this is a callback to her and Natalie going to meet that guy from online to try to get.
Oh fuck! I forgot about that because I was like, really? I don't know what she's talking about. Is she just saying that? I forgot about that.
Oh, you forgot about that? Yeah,
I
but
did.
they have like lighter fluid
Yeah.
in the candle.
The guy
it's gasoline. Natalie siphons
it's
gasoline
from the
from a car.
That's what they pour on
to
them.
use it, and so it's
Yeah.
she uses a beer and a.
Yeah, it's a bottle of beer that they're drinking, and she just like throws it on him, and then grabs a candle, and then she yells for a lighter, and then they call for security uncertainly.
Yeah,
because they're not really sure what to do.
This whole thing is so funny.
It is such a ridiculous scene. I'm glad you reminded me of that because I'm like, that's such a specific thing to say, and I'm like, is that a thing from the wild? Like, I'm like, does she light like? I'm just
No,
like,
but they
is she gonna light
threaten-
Coach Ben's dick on fire later? Like, I'm just like,
yeah,
fuck.
because it's Natalie's idea, and they threaten to do it, but of course, they're not going to.
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah. They don't. They use it as they get the information from the
Yeah.
the like murder board guy.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, totally. No, that's a good. I'm glad you remembered that because man, I was confused, even though I like the scene. Okay. Yeah, this it's interesting that she sees the younger Natalie in a mirror, you know.
Yeah.
Now, part of that might just be they don't have Juliette Lewis.
Yeah,
So,
it could be. Well, and I think also the the idea of her in the past being their leader and
yeah.
that being a formative experience for her.
But it's also like wearing a jacket like makes her want to be like
Yes.
Natalie somehow, you
Yes,
know? Like
definitely.
drives her to do like stuff she thinks Natalie would do. And so it's like then she's seeing Natalie as this like, you know, devil over her shoulder, like egging her on,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but yeah, no, I think this is like and I guess the other thing here is that like Misty is often being mocked by people,
Yeah.
and so she's just unable
She's
to
set up to interpret it that way.
yeah, she can't just accept a genuine compliment.
Yeah.
She's like immediately like thinking there, but I really there's no indication that that was the case
Yeah.
that I could tell. Okay. So then we go to Shauna's homeschooling Callie about the Teapot Dome scandal.
Which
Um,
we all know so
and
well.
I'm just going to give y'all a very quick Wikipedia history lesson about it, just in case you were wondering, as I was. The Teapot Dome scandal was a political corruption scandal in the United States involving the administration of President Warren G. Harding.
Oh.
It centered on Interior Secretary Albert Bacon Fall, what a name,
Wow.
who had leased Navy petroleum reserves at Teapot Dome in Wyoming,
Okay.
as well as two locations in California to private oil companies at low rates without competitive bidding. The leases were the subject of an investigation by Senator Thomas J. Walsh. Convicted of accepting bribes from the oil companies, Fall became the first presidential cabinet member to go to prison.
Mm.
But no one was convicted of paying the bribes. And this occurred in the 1920s, for the record, in case you don't know when the
Okay.
Warren G. Harding administration was, because I
I
didn't.
I
I had
did
to
not
look
know
it
that.
up.
Huh.
So yeah, that's what the Teapot Dome scandal was, in case you were wondering. I know you could Wikipedia, but I heard there's been a recent YouTube scandal of this guy who like had a really popular YouTube channel for a long time and then just abruptly quit and was like, "Yeah, I didn't give a shit. I just did it for the money, and all I did was read shit from Wikipedia to people, and they watched it, and I made money off that." And I'm like, you know what? That's a business model there.
What's a
Reading
business
Wikipedia to
model?
people, like they will take it. So anyway, that's what you get from me for today. Um,
Wow.
okay.
That's everything about what just happened is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a weird scandal. People were really mad. But I'm like, whatever, y'all. You could have read Wikipedia. All right. So Callie doesn't want to do it. Shauna threatens taking the car away and gets her back on the teapot thing. Tally
Gets her back on the teapot.
Tally, not Tally. Callie tells a bullshit story about a teapot falling and almost killing President Trump, but Shauna corrects her and says that it was Harding. That's the only thing she corrects her about.
Only thing. Uh,
Like, yeah, first of all, well, okay, I'm gonna
yeah,
come back to
let's
this.
not. This is not teapot scandal jockeys.
I agree, but I have a slightly different point to make. I'll come back
Okay.
to it. Oh. Callie asks about Jeff. Shauna says he's at the gym and concerned about Callie. Shauna asks about the guts again. Callie explains why she did it. Shauna's relieved. Callie offers to show her the video, and they watch it together as we see the video, and Shauna fucking loves it.
Of course she does.
So yeah, it's like I mean, doesn't everyone dream of having a mom you can show that shit to and love it? Anyway,
I mean,
um,
it's very
it's like
fun.
you're kind of lucky. Sure, she's a murderer, but you know. Anyway, I was just gonna say that like I'm a little incredulous that they would cover such a recent bit of history in high school because that
Oh
was certainly not
God.
my
Yeah.
experience. Minor nitpick.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
It's like yeah. Yeah. Anyway. It's like the funniest name of a thing that they could find.
Yeah, yeah,
It's super
totally.
obscure.
Totally. And it's like it reminds me of some shit I would do. Like you hear the name of something, you just spin like a story out of the name,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
you know? Like I remember writing an essay about I know why the cage bird sings that was
Oh
just based on the
no.
title.
Oh no.
Anyway, I
Oh
didn't
no.
actually read it. All right. So I'm ashamed. Don't worry. All right. So then we cut over to Misty walking home. Walter drives up, though he doesn't know it's her, and initially he's like, "You better stay away. I'm dangerous."
I'm
Crotch
gonna
your burn.
crotch your burn. So good.
All right, so she tries to shoo him away. Misty says he doesn't understand, only her friends do. She tries to get her phone to call one of them. Walter reveals that she left her phone at the bar and the bartender kindly called her contacts and he got to W before someone answered.
It's really sad.
Misty breaks down about Natalie. Walter tries to comfort her. Misty says she was my best friend.
Oy, oy, oy.
Oh boy, yeah, I know. This is very sad. I am very much feeling sorry for Misty,
Yeah.
and yeah, like I've come around on that to such a large degree, but I have a larger point that I want to make that comes up more naturally later, so I will save it for that point.
Okay.
Okay, Callie makes a Sunday while a mysterious light-haired individual watches
Ooh,
through a
who could it
window.
be?
She hears the screen door open. She goes to the door and sees an envelope with the symbol with the symbol on it addressed to Shauna Shipman. She opens the envelope. It has an old school videotape inside. It's like one of those camcorder
Yeah,
ones.
I think it's a high eight.
Hi, eight. Thank you. Thank you for the expertise.
Mm.
She puts it in her pocket and is surprised by Jeff hiding the envelope. And he tells her to go to bed. And in fact, through neither of these episodes do we find out, who that is, obviously, because that's a bigger thing, probably. But also,
Right.
what's on the fucking tape? We still don't know.
Right. It's not gonna be that easy for her to watch that.
Yeah, what's the saga going to be like? Like, how is she going to try to watch this? At some
I
point, that's got to
think,
happen.
yeah, so I think that Van is gonna be
Involved in
involved
that?
in that because we know that she, you know, rents out VHS. She's got this
Yeah.
whole so,
Retro thing.
you know,
Yeah.
because it's not like a typical thing to have anyway.
And like yeah, like potentially like equipment and understanding of how to
Right.
use it. Maybe she'll even digitize it. They showed her doing that in season
Right.
2.
Right.
And also I think Van is someone who could probably be relied on to keep it a secret. Because she's not above doing a secret or two of her own. So
True.
I feel like that's another thing that, if she asked Misty to do it, I'm not so sure Misty would keep that a secret from Shauna. But
Right.
Van, I think, might actually. So anyway, that's another reason why that seems pretty
Yeah.
plausible to me
Yeah.
as a
But I
way
don't
she
know
could
if she
watch it.
even knows Van yet. Have they
That
met
I
yet?
mean, Van was at the camp,
Oh, at the camp, right. Of
so I
course.
think they have at least casually met.
Yeah, okay.
Um okay. But yeah, exactly how it's gonna go down, I don't know. It's not like they're like friends or anything.
Right.
And obviously she's gonna get more involved with Lottie and Misty later.
Right.
Okay. But she doesn't ask them about it. All right, so we go back to the past. Lottie leads a ceremony to the dead. They have some like floaty bag things, like I guess like mini hot air
Yeah, yeah,
balloons.
yeah, don't even yes, that those can be made. You can DIY those, but I am just incredulous that they could have pulled that off.
You're really all about like being skeptical about practical things. All right.
I know that it's not interesting, so I will try to
No, it's okay. I don't mind. It's just stuff like that is never the thing that bothers me. It's always like inconsistencies in the story that bother me.
yeah.
I'm just like
Yeah,
whatever. They
yeah.
can do floaty bags. No problem for me. Like they look cool.
They
Anyway,
do. But
Lottie says they are still with them, the dead, meaning she names Javi Jackie and the child. Suddenly, they all hear what the subtitles describe as screeching, chittering, and shrieking.
Mhm.
So, whatever. I don't know where they got that from, but anyway, something along those lines. Lottie asks Travis if that's what he heard. He does not respond.
He does not respond, leaving us all
To
to
wonder.
wonder.
It does feel like it's connected, but it's true that he doesn't confirm it. And yet, there's a scene later that makes me wonder. I do feel like the answer is yes, but also I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we go over to Ben. Ben hears a sound coming from the pit. Mari fell in there and hurt her leg. He looks over her. She yells for help as we go to the end credits. And that's the end of the first
And that is the
episode.
end of the first episode.
Yes, yes. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's where we end things. All right. Shall we just dive right into
Uh,
episode two? Or did you want to say something about that?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, like a lot of first episodes of seasons, it seems to be just kind of reestablishing
Yeah.
where we
And
are and
transitioning us out of
transitioning.
where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally.
So, yeah, I did expect that they would jump forward.
Yeah,
But I didn't have any kind of vision of what that would look like.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so it's just, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, they need to have the storytelling conceit in the beginning to fill us in, and I think it works. This celebration, the idea that they're doing team competitive team stuff,
mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
yeah,
that
yeah,
seems right.
yeah,
Um, and that they're not dealing with the immediate aftermath in the present timeline either, that they jump that forward.
right.
Um, I was not expecting them to potentially introduce, and this comes up more in the next episode, but the possibility that Melissa made it out,
Mm-hmm.
was not something that had occurred to me.
Whose theory was that? Because that was a
Yeah.
silly theory to have.
If Yeah, and I mean, I would go further to say that they act in the previous season, the Yellowjackets act as if those of them convened are all of the ones
Yeah,
that made it out,
yeah,
minus Travis.
yeah. Right,
Um,
right. And they acknowledge that they know Travis survived.
and I have this crazy pet theory um that what if Coach Ben actually survived this whole ordeal and
Yeah,
escaped in a different
and dyed
way?
his hair blonde.
He's wearing a blonde wig. Yeah. I do not think that is this. Um, but no, I mean, it's just there is the possibility that uh, other people could have survived in a different way.
Yeah, they have not planted a flag and said these were the ones who survived and only them.
Yeah.
We only know the ones we've seen obviously survived, but yeah, they're definitely, it does seem like they're leaving room. And I didn't think they were going to throw more at us, but yeah, now it seems like they will. Could there be another explanation though? I think there could be. I think they might be trying to make us think
Yeah,
that's
I
what
mean,
it
I think that's
is.
definitely possible.
Yeah,
Um, but it's just a matter of who that is in the video. I mean, I don't, or who
yeah,
dropped off the videotape.
yeah.
I don't think it's Walter in a wig.
I don't think it's Walter in a wig either. Yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. He's like an obvious suspect, but at least theoretically,
There was the thing early on um um about Misty being suspicious of him, like, who are you really? What are you really doing here? But then it was like, we sort of let it go and he seems so trustworthy, but he is still hanging around and we
yeah,
still don't know what his deal is
yeah.
or if he even has a deal beyond what we've
Yeah,
seen.
yeah, yeah. And it's not just
So,
like Adam Martin, but like he's,
right,
more willing to cross lines and stuff.
right.
But like, yeah, he's not like hiding a secret agenda, I guess,
Yeah,
is the point.
right.
So yeah, but yeah. I mean, it's someone who knew about the symbol and Shauna's old last name and also there's the phone incident from episode 2 where it has like a picture of the wilderness. I really feel like they're trying to bring back the postcards. I mean, not literally. I'm not saying they're telling us like someone else sent the postcards. I'm just saying like it feels like they're trying to redo like a reboot of the postcard plot and like maybe make it go somewhere a little better this time. I don't know. Like make it a more intriguing reveal than just like, oh yeah, Jeff did it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know, like they want to like recover that idea of intrigue. I mean, just this idea of a secret message coming from an unknown person that's like connected to what happened before in some way that's not
Yeah.
like vague, you know. It just seems like, yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just seems like you could take it that way.
For sure. Well,
um
we can pick that back up in the context of what is coming in the next episode.
yeah. One more thing I was going to say before we move on is just that, yeah, generically I feel like these episodes are, they feel less off to me than like season two. Like season two felt like it was really doing something very different from the way the show was before. But I feel like here we're a little more back to like not exactly season one, but more like season one than season two. Like
Yeah.
they're off doing stuff. There's not this like central location that they're all aiming towards. You know, they're all off having sort of separate adventures, and so anyway, like I prefer being in that mode. So though I do have some regrets about the camp that I'll talk about later, but
Yeah.
uh
We didn't get much to the camp.
yeah. I'm gonna talk about that. That'll come up in
Yeah.
this episode for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
All right.
we have not seen Lottie yet. Adult Lottie, I mean.
Indeed. Indeed, we have not.
Okay. So will we see her in this episode? Who fucking knows? All right, so let's talk about season 3, episode 2, Dislocation. You ready?
Not that location.
No, this one.
I'm sorry. I am sorry.
You should never apologize for that. All right. So we open up on the past, right where we left off, with Mari yelling for help. Ben tells her to stop. She thinks he will kill her. He denies it. Her knee is dislocated. And Ben explains how to pop it back in. He encourages her and she does it, screaming.
Back into his coach role.
Yeah. That is 100% what happens. It's weird. No, you could do this. Come on. Like, you got this,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway. Then we see Shauna taking the baby corpse out of the grave that they had shown in the previous episode and moving it to a different place, as we hear voiceover from my least favorite Yellowjackets episode.
Yeah.
Though mostly from the real part of it, at least. They're mostly not playing stuff from the fantasy sequence, which I appreciate. And then we go to credits. We'll come back to that, obviously. Both
Credits that we can look to for juicy little frames
tidbits
that may give us a hint of what's coming.
Yes. They definitely show some things that some of which we have seen at this point, some of which we have not seen at this point.
Yeah.
That's a pretty obvious thing to say, but anyway. All right. So after the credits at the camp, they discuss where Mari was and what the sound was. They ask Shauna, but she doesn't say anything. Natalie says she'll go look. And Misty tries to volunteer, but Natalie tries to volunteer Shauna to go, but she refuses, so it's Misty. Van and Ty are also going, but separately. Travis wants to join them, but Lottie holds him back and tries to give him more mushrooms to like tap into it or whatever. That's the way I wrote it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's clearly what it is.
I feel like for Travis, it probably would have been better to go with Van and Ty. But anyway.
Yeah, I think he knows that.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a very clear indication of that coming later. Okay. So then we go back to the present. Shauna is excited for things to get back to normal. Jeff reminds her about the dinner with 2 hip hotshots who are turning the Jolly Hitcher into a fancy hotel. And they're talking to Jeff about the furnishings. He guesses that she'll try to get out of it. And that indeed comes true.
Yeah.
Someone's at the door. It's Lottie. Shauna shuts the door in her face.
Yeah. I did not expect Lottie to be brought in for comic relief.
Yeah, me either. It is weird after the end of season 2. Even though like they did play some comedy with her in season 2, but yeah, it's yeah. This is not the reintroduction I was expecting for sure. Lottie knocks again. Shauna opens the door and Lottie comes in. Shauna immediately tries to get her to call a car and leave, calling her a goop sorceress. The thing I
So
referenced
good.
earlier, and that's just a great line. Um, but Lottie says she has nowhere to go. She just got out of the psychiatric hold that they called on her, or did they? They discuss what happened at the end of season 2, and Callie specifically, who then enters the room. Lottie pulls a guilt trip about losing her community and all that. Uh, but Callie wants her to stay. Shauna shoos Lottie away so they can have a family discussion. Jeff is a hard no. Shauna agrees, saying Lottie is dangerous. Callie mentions that Shauna's dangerous too,
Uh,
and pleads for forgiveness for Lottie. Shauna is swayed and asks for one night, and Jeff caves, but says they can't leave Lottie alone with Callie, and Shauna can't bail on the dinner. Shauna hates those people, meaning the people they're gonna have dinner with,
yeah.
just for the
And
record.
so do I.
And Jeff agrees. Shauna lets Lottie back in, saying, "Don't fuck this up." Yeah, I just want to kind of I want to say like I do feel like one of those people would let Lottie stay with them. I mean, they were like super
The
devoted to
heliotrope
her.
people?
Yeah, the acolytes.
The
You
acolytes, yeah.
know, like I don't believe for a second that one of them would take her in. You know, that just seems weird to me.
But
So,
did they have somewhere to like where are they now?
well, I
Camp
guess that's a good point.
did the camp go under then?
It seems like it did.
How long has it been?
It's been 6 weeks. They do say that later.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah. So I guess she was in the
She missed a more
psychiatric thing that time. Yeah, I'm assuming that after there's like like crimes on the premises, and I think
Right,
I
right.
think they probably just shut it down. They don't really say this, but I'm just guessing from
Yeah.
what they do tell us,
Yeah.
because she says she lost her community here. Though maybe she just means being pulled away from it, but I assume they're not there. I don't know. We'll see if they ever talk about it again.
Yeah.
I don't expect too much because shows like to make a
Move
new
on.
beginning, and that was like the thing in season 2. So, um, all right. So yeah, this is setting up some stuff for later. Okay. So we go over to Van doing some karaoke to Virtual
By
Insanity,
herself.
which is a hard song to sing, by the way.
She is doing an amazing job.
She doesn't quite seem to know the words, and I'm not sure if she's nailed
It's
the notes, but I'll agree she's doing an amazing job.
yeah, she's got the gestalt.
Yeah, for sure. Ty brings her coffee, I think it's the morning here.
Yeah.
The morning
You just
after.
wake up in the morning and you start doing some solo
Yep,
karaoke.
that is what's happening. Um Van is feeling bad about the dine and dash, and she wants to go back and pay. This leads to some teasing and frisky good times until Van steps on a glass. There's a chunk in her foot, and Ty pulls it out and wants her to go to a doctor. But Van thinks it's fine. Ty gets a call from Shauna, but doesn't pay attention at the moment. Uh, Van says she'll take herself to a doctor, and Ty will go settle with the restaurant.
Do you believe she really went to the doctor?
I 100% do not believe she went to the doctor.
Same.
And I will say the point
Okay.
where I feel like it's heavily implied that she didn't go to the doctor.
Okay.
Um and like why not specifically, I'm not sure, but I don't think she went.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go over to Walter. Walter wakes up Misty with breakfast in bed. Misty refuses. Walter tries to get her to talk about the previous night and if it was a cry for help. Misty gets a call from Shauna inviting her over for the night, and Misty is super
Oh
excited
my
about it. I know,
god.
I know. They're like rubbing our faces in this
Oh,
shit.
it's so bad.
Walter immediately suggests that Shauna, and by implication, the others just use her and don't reciprocate. Misty says that he can't understand the trauma bond that they share, and she's excited for some one-on-one time with Shauna,
Oh
and
god.
she's Walter. And
Oh,
when you know where this is going, it's even sadder than it already was.
it's so
Anyway,
sad.
um, okay, so I really want to rant about that a bit, but I just there's a scene where
Okay, yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
really hit the point later, so I'm gonna
Yeah,
save
we'll
it for
wait.
then. Okay, so we go back to the past. Uh, uh, Nat and Misty look for Mark. Oh, I'm sorry. One more thing. Sorry. I think the clear implication is that Shauna called Thaisa first.
Yeah, definitely.
And then resorts to Misty.
Definitely.
Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Because that was the point of Shauna, because otherwise that Shauna call kind of goes nowhere. So
Yes.
anyway.
Yes.
All right. Uh, in the past, Nat and Misty look for Mari, going to an area where there are berries. Misty offers to talk about stuff since.
Sorry, I'm just like this berries thing. Well, we know she's gonna be hungry, and we know there are
Yeah,
berries that way.
yeah,
Anyway.
that's exactly what they say. Misty offers to talk about stuff since it's like a road trip,
Oh
clearly
god.
referencing season one,
Yeah.
retroactively slash in the future. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, but Nat says that she and Travis didn't talk much on their expeditions. Misty mentions Crystal disappearing and Coach Ben as well. Nat says, fuck him. Misty
Mm.
asks if she really thinks Ben is dead and if he burned down the cabin. She also says that Ben would be proud of what Nat has, quote, built. Nat lies and says that he didn't know her and they almost never spoke. Misty looks suspicious, as she should be. And here's one thing I think no one really should deny about Misty, whatever they think about her. She's not stupid.
No.
She will absolutely pick on stuff, pick up on like cues that she's being lied to or like
Yeah.
manipulated in some way. And like, I don't think Natalie's even doing a great job here. And it's like also like I mean,
Yeah.
like they know that's not true, right? Like, why are you trying to say like, oh yeah, we never even what are you talking about? It's like, come on, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So we'll come back to that. Mari fixed her leg but still has trouble standing. She calls out for Ben, saying she never believed he burned down the cabin. Ben says he didn't know anything about the cabin burning and says he's been staying as far away from them as possible.
Yeah, really, you didn't notice a 2 week bonfire?
No, because he's been staying so far away. He never got close enough to see it. That's
He's
what he
really
claims.
unobservant.
That's what he claims.
Yeah.
Okay. He tells Mari to stay there and stay quiet. So, yes, thank you for saying that because this is a point where I just want to raise some doubts. I mean, I still think he did burn the cabinet. He's just lying. This is a lie I'm catching him on for sure. We saw him go there and get the matches.
Yeah.
He did not stay as far away from as possible. He went to Natalie too and tried to get her to come away. So like, nah, you have not been staying as far away. Like maybe you didn't go there a lot. I'll buy that, but it's like he's not admitting that he went back there from that, which you know he did.
Yeah.
And that's right when the cabin burned down. It's just like, what a coincidence if it wasn't him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ugh. Anyway, there could be a reveal that it actually wasn't him, but like he is lying when he says this,
Yeah.
and that makes me think he's lying about the other thing. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, back to the present. Misty arrives at Shauna's. Callie answers the door skeptically. Misty lets herself in. She sees everyone
I
there.
love that. Your
Inclu-
mom invited me.
yeah, yeah. She sees everyone there, including Lottie. Misty wonders if it's an intervention about her drinking.
That running gag throughout this episode is really funny. So like she's woken up super hungover from having 7 shots of whiskey at the bar, which is an
yeah,
absolutely insane amount.
yeah,
Uh it's like 10 ounces.
10.5 ounces.
So
Yeah,
that's
which is a shitload.
outrageous for someone who's accustomed to just drinking espresso martinis.
Yeah, yeah. It would be 5.25 martinis worth of
Yeah, and you
whiskey.
know an espresso martini doesn't have that much
No, I'm
on
sure it doesn't. Or
compared
five
to a
and a
real
quarter
martini.
Manhattans, I guess, if you want to use whiskey. Like, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
I mean,
Anyhow, so that's like she wakes up really hungover, but then she gets the spring in her step immediately when she gets the call from Sean.
she waves off Walter trying to be nice and
Yeah,
trying to like bring her shit to help her recover.
yeah.
And she's like, and Shauna calling her to use her for shit again. And she jumps up for it. It's just
It's so
so,
sad.
so sad. So sad. And again, going back to the fact that Misty's not stupid, I think on some level she realizes this is happening,
Yeah,
but she lets it happen anyway because of her desperate need for acceptance.
yeah,
It's really sad. It's really sad. I started feeling more sorry for Misty when we rewatched, but like this season is really pushing that.
yeah.
Like, oh man. Anyway, okay. So let's see. Where did I leave off? Right. Um Jeff reveals that Lottie is just there as a guest. Misty wonders what she's doing there. Um Jeff offers to show Lottie the linens as Shauna explains to Misty that she is yeah, Misty wonders what she herself is doing there, just to
Right,
clarify.
right.
Um not what Lottie's doing there because they just said that. Okay, sorry. Shauna explains to Misty that she's a babysitter and is in charge of keeping Lottie away from Callie. That is her one job. And honestly, she really tries to do it.
She
Um,
tries, yeah.
she
But
gets it.
no one can best Callie.
Well, apparently not. She's not suspicious enough of Callie for sure. Shauna and Jeff leave as Shauna thanks Misty for being a lifesaver. Misty takes in what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh, was Walter right? I think he was. Anyway, so then we go back to the past. Misty explains something about um her like her and Ben, her relationship with Ben, like somehow helping with Natalie and Travis. I don't really understand what the point of this was, but she claims this as Natalie sees one of Ben's traps. She seems to realize what it is and turns around, validating what was saying, and then she tries to steer Misty in a different direction. Misty sees the trap, but Nat says that Mari couldn't have set that up. It's probably one of ours and tries to lead her a different way again. Misty is skeptical, very rightfully.
Yes.
Yeah, so I guess since like this comes up a few times, but like there's no like one big scene about this. Uh I'll just say that you know, um I suspected that after the end of season 2, because you know, Ben tells her where he is basically. I mean, at
Yeah.
least he describes the kind of place he's
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
to, and offers to take her, you know, and they all think he burned the cabin. I think Natalie also thinks that, although she's, you know, sort of like, it's unclear. It's a bit ambiguous because of the way she's behaving here. I'm not 100% sure if she does believe that or not. But anyway, I thought she was gonna be like the first to like rat him out and like they would go hunt his ass down, you know. But of course they're less desperate now, so that's part of it, I think. But maybe there's also this residual loyalty to Ben that I didn't really expect, I guess,
Yeah. Yeah.
after
I
what
mean, I think
happened.
that yeah, it's interesting. She that scene, the last scene that we see with the two of them together,
Hmm.
you know, you can tell that she's sort of mournful and you don't belong
Yeah,
here, you're better than us
yeah.
kind of idea. And that even though then we see her later on being really kind of taken in by being put in a position of power over this group,
Yeah,
that the power kind of goes to her head, that isn't enough to eclipse her feeling of like, this is bad, this is
yeah,
wrong, these are unnatural things.
yeah,
And there is one person here who has managed to survive in resistance to the
Right.
cannibalism, the violence.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because I mean that's undeniable. Like he survived this.
Yeah,
So
it's true.
that means they probably could have survived without killing and eating Javi too.
Yeah, yeah,
Like he doesn't even eat
Jackie. Yeah,
Jackie.
you're right. Yeah.
I don't know what he's eating, but
Yeah, I mean, they show him setting these traps, so I feel like it's like
well,
suggesting
now he's setting these traps, but in the winter, I
in the
don't know.
previous
Yeah,
period.
like how he made it through season two.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I agree. They don't really say, and yeah, maybe that's one of those. Keep it off screen, then we don't have to explain it.
Yeah,
But there were all those bones down there, and like the issue of how Javi survived. He was there
yeah,
months.
yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, well, we're gonna get more information about that cave for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, there's definitely unanswered questions there, and so yeah, maybe somehow through this plot with Mari and stuff,
yeah.
like the more clarity on what Ben has been doing
Yeah,
will
I mean, by the end
come
of
to
this
light.
episode, Mari is down in his cave, and well, we'll get to that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so then we go back to the present. Callie looks at the tape, just the physical tape. Of
Uh-huh.
course, she's not watching it. We don't get to see it. Lottie comes in, but then Misty charges in and tries to get Callie on homework and Lottie away to alphabetize the pantry.
Yeah, Lottie's got that glint in her eye.
Yeah,
We remember how she reacted to the appearance of Callie in the wilderness clearing in the end of last season,
yeah,
where she's like,
yeah,
your daughter, she's so powerful.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
she's got her sights on
She's
Callie.
got some fixation on Callie that, yeah, it feels
She's
sort
gonna start making her mushroom
it,
tea and
yeah, that's
taking
what I
her
was
into the
gonna
woods to
say.
hear the trees
It
scream.
feels in line with what she's doing with Travis in the past. And
Yes.
and yeah, it's like I didn't really know what to make of that moment, but yeah, no, going into this. Yeah, she has this little hesitation, but she does leave at this point. We will come back to that. Okay. Back in the past, Van and Ty call for Mari. Ty says if Mari's dead, it's gonna look bad for Natalie's leadership. But and mentions that she also didn't want anyone looking for Coach Ben. Van says she never wanted to believe that he did it, meaning burn the cabin. I'm pretty sure that's what she means.
Yeah.
Ty says, who else could it have been? Which
Yeah.
I agree. Van wonders if Ty thinks that she would be a better leader, meaning Tyson herself. Just to
Right. Right.
clarify,
Like Thais jealous,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, 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 yeah. Back to that old Thais ambition. Ty is sure, but Van isn't so sure. She says this place is messy and it doesn't want to be governed. And it's like, well, I just resigned when I got elected, so maybe I don't want to govern anything.
Like
Anyway.
this, like the great state of New Jersey. This place is messy and doesn't want to be governed.
Oh, that's the joke. Thank you. Okay. They're interrupted by Travis yelling. So then we go over to Travis and Lottie. Lottie yells back. He says, they're coming. He doesn't want to see them. He says, it's trying to get inside me and freaks out. Lottie says, it doesn't want to hurt you. Finally, he lashes out and pins Lottie to the ground by the throat, saying, what are you doing, Lottie? Van and Ty pull him off. Lottie knocks Ty back and wants Travis to hear it. All right. So,
Who's coming?
yeah, I know. They're coming. They're coming. I have no idea what that means. But it is funny. That literal quote ambiguously also appears in Lost. Anyway. I just have to say it. It
Yeah.
feels like this is like the lostiest pair of episodes since the pilot. All right. Okay, we will come back to that. But oh yeah, yeah, this line about Van says that Natalie never wanted to believe that he did it. Like this makes me think maybe she doesn't believe he did
Yeah,
it.
I could believe that she is just in denial about it. I mean, based on their
Yeah.
interactions, that she can't accept the possibility that he would do it.
Yeah. So is it gonna
It is pretty
lead
extreme.
to like if she's convinced herself, like she's towing the party line, but like if she's convinced herself that he didn't actually do it, will this lead to a reversal or you know, like a shift in the dynamic if she discovers that he actually did do it. I'm just planning that in the, you know, I just want to
Yeah,
say
I
because
mean, if she, yeah,
I feel like that's a possible path going forward
yeah,
here.
I agree.
Um, or she even believes he did it, you know, but it's not necessarily true. I don't know. Like, there's various ways.
Yeah, if she believe, right.
Like,
I
she
mean,
changes her mind, but she's wrong. Anyway,
if she, yeah, if she believes that he did it, but believes that they deserved it, or
yeah,
that he had, you know, he was in the right for doing it.
yeah,
I mean, not, yeah. Anyway,
yeah, yeah. It could go that way too. There's also, oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say about this scene because I think, yeah, like this is setting up the idea that there might be some competition for the Antler Queen position. Like maybe Natalie's throne is not so well assured, and we might have some Game of Thrones happening here.
yeah. I mean, it could be the just the fact that she's concealing Ben's existence
We'll get her
leads to that
deposed.
downfall. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I think that is totally possible. And that weird thing with Shauna at the end, like, why wasn't it me? You know, at the end of season two, like, yeah, now it's sort of like this felt like it was following up on that idea.
yeah,
You know, that there was like some uncertain, like everyone wasn't so sure as Lottie was that, like, oh yeah, it should be Natalie for sure.
yeah.
Okay. So back in the present, Ty is back at the restaurant to pay them back. She tries to pay in cash, but they're a cashless restaurant. Ty gets a card out, but still seems to prefer paying cash. The hostess leaves to find out how to ring it up. Ty grabs a matchbook that says Padam on it, meaning no soul, I think.
Yeah,
um,
that's
like that's the name of the place. Like that's a weird name. Anyway,
either
then
that or it means step of the soul.
yeah, it could mean step of the soul. That's true. Is it Il n'y a pas d'âme or is it on fait un pas d'âme?
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
it definitely seems like we're supposed to read it as no soul.
yeah. Yeah, just on the surface, yeah, that's what I would expect it to mean, but who knows? Then she notices a memorial candle setup for the waiter, and a waitress explains that he had a heart attack. The hostess comes back with someone, and Ty freaks out, grabs a card, and runs out with the hostess calling after her. So when I first watched this and when I second watched this, I was confused why she wanted paying cash so hard. But like I think the idea is that she doesn't want it like
She's a known person.
yeah,
She doesn't,
she doesn't want
yeah,
it known that they did a dine and
yeah,
dash. And so she wants if she doesn't cash and there's not like a
right,
record
right.
that she was there. And it's like she extra wants it when she realizes that the waiter died.
Yeah,
And that's why she runs out
yeah.
when they come. Okay. Anyway, that was all revealed to me through thought.
You're watching.
And watching also. I was like so
Right.
confused. And then at the end of the scene, I'm like, oh, I get it now. Anyway, okay. Misty is alphabetizing the pantry. Lottie is there too, not particularly participating. Um, Lottie says that what happened with Natalie wasn't anybody's fault, including Misty. Misty says, I literally put a syringe of fentanyl into her chest. And I will be looking that up later, but I won't mention it now. Lottie says she didn't do it on purpose and it chose. Misty wonders about Lottie getting out of the hospital, but she says she was free to go. And besides her belief in a god of the wilderness, she's perfectly normal. Misty notices some allergy medication in with the
Yeah,
spices.
Chekhov's allergy
It really
medication.
is. It really is. Um, Lottie guesses that Misty is angry. Misty is explaining when Callie enters. Callie wants to hang out. Lottie is all in. They're going to make some milk punch. Misty tries to object. Callie asks why she hates sleepovers, and Misty admits that she's never been to one. Lottie is surprised. Misty says the time of the wilderness was close enough, but
Oh,
Lottie doesn't think so. Callie uses this to try to convince Misty, and she finally gives it.
Yeah, because Callie knows exactly how to get what she
Oh
wants
my
from Misty.
god. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like Callie's just like getting right in there like the others. Like, let's just use Misty some more.
Yeah.
Manipulate her. Use what her weaknesses against. Oh, that's just so awful. Anyway, all right. Um Shauna and Jeff are at the dinner with Joel and Nathan, aka the
The Joel.
Joels. Which I do love.
Yeah, they're
Um
terrible.
they're douchey. Jeff makes his pitch. They order. Joel and Nathan see a Tyler and get up to go talk. Shauna has been on her phone the whole time trying to get an update from Misty, but Jeff wants her to participate more. Shauna calls them bland little Joels. They
Man, she's got such good zingers.
they they come back and mention Shauna using her phone at the table. She excuses herself. All right, we'll come back to that. Callie, Misty, and Lottie have a sleepover, and they're wearing masks of some kind, like animal masks. It's weird. I don't really know what the game they're playing here is.
It's not a game, it's like a facial treatment.
That's all they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, I thought it was a game. Anyway, Callie wants to play Truth or Dare. Lottie is totally into it, but Misty's not so sure, saying,
Yeah.
What would you want to ask some boring adults about?"
It's such a like, oh my god. It's so funny watching this unfold because yeah, Lottie's like so obsessed with Callie that she'll do anything that Callie asks.
Yeah.
To the point where it's Misty who is seeing through this.
Yeah.
It's not even like, cuz you think like Misty's the one who's going to be most susceptible to like, yeah, let's do slumber party things and you can finally be part of something.
Yeah.
But it's Lottie who's just totally enthralled.
Yeah.
It's like, you
Yeah.
fool. Truth or dare? Are you crazy?
Yeah. I mean, Misty clearly realizes like where this can go,
Immediately.
and it's like, okay, no. Like, why don't you want to hear anything from us boring adults? And Callie says your body count's a bit high to claim to be boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is a fair
Ouch.
point. Misty agrees. Callie offers another round. Misty says it's too boozy, but Callie says she can fix that with some grenadine.
Yeah.
And like, so the gambit is that grenadine is kind of the same
Pink.
color as this allergy medication, and that's how she gets away with it.
Yeah, there's probably some grenadine in there.
I didn't fully understand that when I watched this the first time. It was only the second time, like, okay, I get what's going on here. Anyway, in the kitchen, she sees the grenadine next to the allergy medication. Then she returns with the beverages. Lottie asks for truth. Misty stops her and says, no. I demand a dare. Give me a dare. Dare me.
God.
Callie stays on Lottie and asks what happened out there. Wait for it. Were you really going to kill my mom? It's like, again, it feels like a troll.
It is such a troll.
You know what you... Yeah, anyway. All right. Lottie says she just wanted to offer it what it needed. Callie wants to know what it is, but Misty says you got your answer. So, as a dare, Callie says, chug that.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Things are going exactly according to plan.
Oh god. After a bit, she does. Misty asks for no more it talk. Misty asks
No more it talk.
Misty asks what Callie did to get her in trouble. Callie explains that some girls said they have survived by eating each other. Misty acts incredulous. Lottie says people have been telling that story since they got back. Callie wants to know. Lottie doesn't really answer, but says that Callie understands better than anyone who didn't go through it, and that it wasn't at all like people say. Misty thunks out on the couch, and Lottie wonders why Callie isn't surprised.
Yeah.
So this is actually this is where I want to kind of butt in, because even Lottie here is being cagey.
Yes.
She isn't fully say, she's saying, they don't understand, but she isn't fully acknowledging that, yeah, we fucking ate people out there. Like,
Yeah.
she wasn't going right there like Van did
Right.
earlier.
Right.
She's keeping it like they did back in the day, where it's like, oh, it was hard, no one can understand,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And then this weird thing like, oh, you understand better than anyone who didn't go through it. And I'm like, really? Why? Like, I don't understand what that means. Is she just like so obsessed with Callie that she's just saying that, or like she really believes that for some reason? Like she thinks that her obsession with Callie means that she's like obsessed with it, or like that she's got some connection to the it, or something. Like I don't know. It's hard for me to read like
Yeah, like
what Lonnie's thinking
because
in
she
this
was
season.
there that night in the
Yeah,
woods.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I think.
yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the best I could come up with as well. So I'll go with that. But it's interesting because there's everything is set up here for Lottie to reveal her true intentions with Callie, but she doesn't. It's never revealed. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's open going forward. Okay. So we go back to the past. Um, Ben throws Mari a rope and lowers the ladder into the pit so she can climb out. She does. As she's recovering, he trips her and ties her up. He says he can't let her go back since she's seen him. Mari says, if you didn't burn the cabin, then what's the problem? But he says the truth wouldn't matter to that mob. And he says they killed an Javi and he would be next. He tells her to stand up. She does. Ben says he doesn't want to hurt her. He blindfolds her and says he needs time to think. He gives her a crutch and directs her away from there on the rope. Okay. So we'll come back to that later. Again, Ben, he's like, what's his name in the Bible? He's denying it many times here. Like, all right, Ben, you really didn't do it. You really didn't do it. We'll see. All right. So go back to the present. Ty sees someone preaching in Spanish and goes through to some kind of like patio altar, and she throws the matchbook, the Padam matchbook that she took in a candle, and it burns. Like this is actually one of the weirdest moments in these two episodes to me because there's no dialogue, so I don't 100% know what she's thinking. It's like, is she doing like some kind of ritual atonement for this waiter who died? Like, is that what it's supposed to be? Like, like
Yeah, I think it my interpretation of the scene was that we're initially invited to think that she is feeling bad about the waiter, that
yeah,
it's sort
yeah,
of an
yeah.
atonement. But then she's actually just destroying the matchbox from that she picked up
Oh,
in
it's
the
just
play.
evidence.
Yeah,
But the way
evidence
she
and like
destroys it
guilt
seems like it's
trip for
meaningful
her.
because she could have just thrown it in the trash.
Yeah, I guess, but that wouldn't be dramatic.
Well, sure, sure. But it's just, I don't know. It seemed like there was significance. But yeah, maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong. Maybe it's what you're saying. I don't really know. Because yeah, it's not clarified anywhere. We'll see. We'll see if it ever makes
yeah,
sense this season. But it's just an interesting little thread. But I think your point is valid for the record. Okay. Shauna goes into the bathroom, calling Misty, who's not picking up. She goes into a stall. The bathroom door opens. You notice how my voice changes when we get these moments, because like they're like the weird horror parts of these episodes. I don't know what to do with
yeah.
these scenes. The bathroom door opens and someone walks in. Shauna sees a shadow. The footsteps leave and the light is shut off. She comes out with her phone flashlight. She turns on the lights again and then hears a ringtone coming from one of the other stalls. She sees a phone was left there with a missed call and no caller ID, and a picture of the wilderness as the background. So again, this is where like
Yeah.
it feels like they're reincorporating some of the ideas from
Yeah,
the
but it's a
postcards.
lot of coincidence. A lot of little things that could mean nothing. Like people go into the bathroom and they check their makeup in the mirror and then they leave. And sometimes people accidentally turn just out of habit, they turn
Yep,
off the light.
yep,
People leave phones in bathrooms all the time.
yep.
That's not an uncommon background for a
God, is Damon Lindelof in the room? Because I feel like his spirit looms large here.
it does, yeah.
Your point's valid, and I think we all need to be on the lookout for that stuff because this show does go in that direction 9 times out of 10. if not 10 times out of 10. So like, yeah, that's totally valid. But I guess the question is, okay, the envelope was left. There is a tape in there. You know, uh the question is this connected to that or not? Is this that person or not? You know, there's like a second version of this that feels too complicated to be true, where it was that person but that wasn't the phone. Like they didn't leave the phone.
Right.
um
Yeah, I mean, how could they have known which stall to leave it in?
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I guess. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm thinking now. Okay, so here's one way to read it. I didn't even think about this because I was just, like confused what this point was even supposed to be here. But here's a thought. So if that person really did leave the phone, then I guess my interpretation would be they left the phone, turned off the lights, and then I guess they have another phone that they called it with to get Shauna's attention so that she would pick it up. That would be my attempt to make it make sense
Yeah.
as a plan. Because like as a plan, that's about as plausible as what Misty did with the cigarettes.
But who answers the phone of a random stranger, like a random phone in the bathroom?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's like she just turns it in at the bar, so it's like, yeah, is it a long con to like get her to call the bar, which she does call later? So anyway, whatever. That starts to make it more complicated. That makes it more like the cigarette thing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think your point is valid. Like it could turn out that like she's just, well, she can't think it has something to do with it. She doesn't even know this other thing has happened. But like the audience thinks it's related, but it isn't.
Right.
The restaurant scene from earlier after Natalie's funeral does seem explicitly connected by the hair thing. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
So I do think that like suggests there should be a link, but again, good point. Just because it looks like there should be a link doesn't mean there has to be one.
Yeah.
All right, all right. You know what? Keep me honest. Good points. Good points. All right. So, all right. Back in the restaurant, the Joels ask Jeff about stuff. I don't care to recount it. Shauna gives the phone to a host behind the bar and goes back to the table. They ask what happened. Shauna doesn't want to talk about it. The Joels are not so sure about the deal with Jeff. Shauna questions the Joel about his dad doing the same thing he did and mocks him for doing the same thing and calling himself, quote, self made. Then she calls him a painful little boner and says, "You absolutely do not exist. You fucking nothing. You do not deserve his furniture." And then she walks away. Jeff reads the room and leaves as well. Um,
Yeah, I felt like they were too curious about what happened in the bathroom.
mhm. Oh, you think they might have been in on it?
I mean, yeah,
Oh
if there
man,
is an
the
it,
Joel's conspiracy. I like
I mean, it's
it.
crazy, and it's
I
like
like it. I wasn't even thinking that. I'm
it's
sorry.
basically the opposite of what I just said, which is that there's
Yeah,
no there
yeah.
there.
There's
But I
everything
did
there.
think that they
There.
were like too, just like what happened in there.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? What happened in there? I went to the bathroom. Like it's so
Well, they did see her go to
rude.
the bar too.
Yeah, but that's
Talk to
still
someone.
rude.
Yeah, yeah. No, they
I
are
mean,
supposed
not
to be
that they're
rude, I
not
think.
rude, but
Yeah.
just is that the way that they are rude?
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's a fair point. I didn't even think to be skeptical of them. I just took them at face value, but we'll see. Okay.
But I do love a scene where Shauna gets to tell people off.
Yeah, that's definitely her wheelhouse. Okay. So we go back to the past. Akila comes over to Travis with
Oh,
Mortimer the duck.
do you want to hold Mortimer?
Mortimer the duck gets
Yes.
MVP for most adorable animal in these two episodes
Yeah.
by far, and probably in the show so far.
Very calm.
So calm. And offers to let him hold Mortimer. Travis takes the duck and holds it tight. It does
He
seem to help.
needs, yeah, he
It really
needs
seems to
Mortimer
help.
so bad.
Um,
He's in really bad shape.
he's clearly like, yeah, he's clearly in a place where, and actually, yeah, let me continue. Lottie comes over again, holding a cup. Travis regrets trying to hurt Lottie, but Lottie wants Travis to connect with it to understand what it wants from us to make it happy. Travis says it didn't want him, and someone else is closer to it. It's why the animals trust her, meaning Aquila. Lottie is skeptical but walks away for now. So yeah, this is a point where I think Travis is lying. I think he's doing this to just try to get Lottie off him. Just like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe if I just tell her like the wilderness told me it was tequila, like he'll
Yeah.
just fucking leave me alone. And
Yeah, so now that Natalie is in charge of the whole camp, she doesn't have the bandwidth or the interest to pay close enough attention to see uh what Lottie's actions are doing
yeah,
to Travis.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
There were
He has no scenes with Travis in
yeah,
these 2 episodes, which is kind of crazy.
yeah, and it's kind of, that's fine if they don't want to retread that. It's just pretty noticeable, I think, that no one is paying attention
Yeah,
to what is happening to Travis, and Lottie is just running him
yeah,
into the ground. And
yeah,
like Aquila realizes that he needs this emotional support, Mortimer.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah,
Nobody's
yeah,
calling Lottie out. Nobody's worshiping Lottie anymore. She's just
yeah,
like doing her own thing, just passing under everybody's radar.
yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah, and in that regard, like I think it's unfortunate that he sends Lottie over to Aquila after she just did this nice thing for him.
It is,
It's
yeah.
like really, even though his argument's actually plausible because Lottie had that thing with the bear, so it feels like you could sort of draw a line there that like, oh, maybe the animal thing like is some kind of hint, like.
Yeah, and if he thinks that the reason he's having a negative experience with all of this is that he's not what
Mm-hmm.
the wilderness wants, then maybe he doesn't think that it would be as bad for Aquila. Like if Aquila's the
Yeah,
right one,
right,
then she won't be hearing the screaming or
right.
whatever.
Right. But I
I don't
don't believe that it
know.
really told him that. I mean, he might
No.
think that, but I think he's just saying this to get
Yeah.
Lottie off his back. Like, please, can I not drink mushroom hallucinatory shit for another fucking day? Like,
Yeah. I
Jesus.
don't know why he doesn't stand up for himself more forcefully.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's weird. It's weird. But at this point, it does seem like he's been so traumatized by those experiences that he doesn't have but yeah,
Yeah.
it does seem like he should have stood up for himself earlier. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in a weird place this season. It's an odd bit. Okay. So then we go over to Misty and Natalie. They arrive back at the camp without Mari. Misty goes to Shauna and tells her that Natalie knows where Ben is.
Yeah.
Shauna tells her not to tell anyone else, and Misty agrees. And Shauna's like, she does this like zipper thing, and Shauna makes this like sarcastic like face, and it's just like, God, Misty is doing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, over and over again. It's so,
Yeah.
she's trying to be helpful and like offering real information. And like, Shauna does actually want to hear this. And like, it's like, and she's still like, fuck you, Misty. It's
Yeah.
just like, Jesus
It's
Christ.
always the answer. Fuck you, Miss.
I know, seriously.
It's
Yeah,
yeah, it's sad.
it's a lot. Okay, so we go back to the present. Callie and Lottie are watching Repo Divorcees. We actually get a full clip of this.
It's so weird.
It's like their version of expose, another Lost
Oh boy.
reference. Like making up a TV show for the TV show. Anyway, they're loving it. They're fucking
It's
loving it.
so funny.
Callie is braiding Lottie's hair. Shauna and Jeff arrive back at home. Shauna finds Misty passed out in the kitchen, and she wakes up and throws up on the counter.
Yep.
Again, making it look like she's a major alcoholic when
Yeah.
it's like that's not the explanation for this.
Do you
but
have a drinking problem?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's such a oh man. Yeah, so yeah, this is where it's like it seems like Lottie and like Callie just like hung out and like watched some TV and like, like didn't really do nothing like
Yeah.
untoward. I don't know. Now maybe she's just like slowly, like working her way in there to like lead up to something, but like she has every opportunity to like try to lead Callie down some dark path and doesn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, just wanted to note that. Okay. Repo Divorcees is such a funny idea
Yeah.
for a show.
It is.
All right. All right. Van comes home. Ty asks about the doctor and apologizes for pushing her into it. Van says it's fine and asks about the restaurant. Ty lies and says it was straightforward. And then asks Van about urgent care. And Van, I think, also lies and says they said just to elevate it and don't run any marathons. So yeah, it's really the symmetry of this that makes me think Van's lying
Yeah.
because we know Ty's lying.
Yeah.
We saw what happened,
Yeah.
and the way Van says it does lacks conviction, at least in my reading. Like, so I do think she didn't go.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Then we go to Walter cleaning Caligula's cage as Misty
He's
returns.
like putting a plaque on it, right?
Oh, is he putting a plaque on it?
I thought that he was,
Oh, is that what it was?
yeah,
He
like
was like welding
he's
a.
welding
Oh, that was welding. I was thinking he was
or
cleaning it with like really
soldering or
elaborate
something.
material, but
No,
okay,
I think
okay,
he's like putting some.
okay. You're right.
Just, oh God,
You're right. He's
the
putting
poor
a
guy.
plaque on Caligula's cage as Misty returns. She says they had a great sleepover. Uh, uh,
It's 11 o'clock.
yeah. Walter was worried the notes that it's 11 p.m. Misty shouldn't have been allowed to drive in this condition. She's drunker than the night before. Misty brushes it off. Walter makes the point that her friends don't seem to treat her very well. Misty is angry about it and about Walter being too pushy. She says Walter needs to accept her friends. Walter tries to apologize and diffuse the situation, but she throws him out. Okay, so here's why I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
So it was something that it hit me. It's weird. We did a rewatch, and I don't think I ever said this on the podcast, but like it just hit me one night thinking about the show. I'm like, you know what? They did Misty dirty. Like, I think it's fucked up that they go back after all this shit that they went through out there and they don't talk to her at all. They shut her out of everything consistently. And it's just like, you don't have to be her best friend, but you could at least be polite and like maintain a minimal level of contact. Like, is
Yeah.
that too much to ask, y'all? And like, I like those characters, but it's like, I do think that's a shitty thing to do. And
Yeah.
I feel so much sorrier for Misty than like, I, than I did at the beginning of the show, I guess. Because like
Yeah.
we see her destroying the flight recorder. I feel like there's more like, and she like is sort of responsible for Crystal's death. Like there's these scenes where like you do stuff, and Jessica Roberts too. Like it's like harder to like Misty, but I think like now that like the fuller picture of all of them is in view, it's like I don't see her as like significantly worse than the rest of them, and like
Yeah. I mean, Ty's the one who suggests the hunt.
yeah,
Um, I, you know, I don't think she would have killed Jessica Roberts if it weren't for the experience in the wilderness. Like I don't like
yeah,
and I don't think when she destroyed the flight recorder, of course it was reckless and horrible, but I don't think that when she did that, she thought that they would be stranded there for a year and a half as a result of what she was doing.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
It's so even if they do know about that, it's not their treatment. And when they're teenagers are just assholes to one another.
Yeah,
So that's one thing. But as adults, I agree. They are very, yeah.
and continue to be so.
Yeah.
Up to this episode.
Yeah.
Like the way Shauna treats Misty in this episode is like in line with all that, and the way she's treating her in the flashback. So it's just
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, I think there's a couple of ways to read the way that she's treating Walter, and one of them is that she can't admit that what Walter she can't admit that Walter's right, even if she sort of believes it. She can't say it out loud, and maybe she can't even admit it to herself. Another way to read the way that she treats Walter is people who get bullied then bully. And so being able to kind of
hmm
um shoot him down or
treat him the
whatever.
way that she's being treated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, when like yeah, like every point he makes is valid and he's trying to be nice and like look and stick up for her and
yeah.
like yeah, it's like it's she doesn't want to hear it cuz yeah, I feel like it's hard to I feel like it's both in a way,
Yeah.
you know? Like but yeah, I the pathos for Misty is off the charts
Yeah,
in
because I
these
mean
episodes.
with Misty you also get this like, she by rejecting his claims, she's positioning herself as part of my teammates, my friends, my teammates,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Right, right. And she wasn't even technically on the team,
right.
you
That's a good
know?
point.
So that's just,
Forgot
just
about
have to
that.
throw that in. She was like I don't know what you call it.
Like the water boy or
Yeah, the
whatever.
water boy. Sitting on the sidelines with equipment and stuff,
Yeah.
like that kind of job. Anyway, yeah, it's like, yeah. Oh, that's the thing I was gonna say about the emergency transmitter. Like, yes, it's a bad thing to do, but it did come from a place that is sympathetic, which is she was getting acceptance,
Yeah.
so it's like it still connects to that, like
Yeah.
that's what led her to do that, it's very explicit. And so anyway, and even the crystal thing was kind of like that. She was trying to open up and Crystal rejects her, and like that's what leads to the confrontation.
Yeah.
So it's like even that stuff kind of fits in with the overall, way that she's being treated, and yet tries to like soldier on and make it work and try to convince herself that they're all on the same level, and she's just like one of the team.
Yeah.
You know. All right. So on to the next scene. All right. So wait, hold on. Did I miss something? Oh, sorry. Here's what I missed. Back to the past. Because I read the next thing and I'm like, okay, I missed something. I didn't. Mari says that oh, they're in the cave, by the way.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that, but Ben took her to the cave. So this is our first revisiting of the cave from season
Hmm.
2. So Mari says that they didn't kill Javi and only ate him because they had to. Then she mentions that they aren't eating people anymore. For now, Mari. For
Yeah,
now,
for
Mari.
now.
Get ready, Mari, because if you make it out of this, I don't know. Anyway, um, Aquila is raising ducks and they've been hunting. Mari says that they will come looking for her. And Mari is saying that she thinks Ben did set the fire, but stops when Ben sets a cup in front of her. It's hot chocolate. He found it. Mari drinks it with relish. And then we see Ben going off to like some side location in the cave and talking to himself slash someone in another part of the cave.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, this is a weird ass moment, and I think it's well, it's certainly insight on what how he's like coping with this, but I feel like it's also a clue about what Javi was talking about
Yeah.
because he explicitly is said to have lived in the same cave and he lived there for a period of time, and so maybe it's just like a hint that yeah, he like somehow like imagine someone there with him as a way to deal with the isolation and so on. I mean, that's how it comes off here.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't see what he's talking to, but like, it's hard for me to believe there's a bear over there or whatever.
It's a volleyball on a tall
Yep.
stick.
There you go. There you go. That's what it has to be. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but it is, and I guess, yeah, there was also those elaborate fantasies he was having in the cabin in season 2. So he's sort of primed for being able to retreat into a fantasy world at times to cope with things. But yeah, it seems like he's like debating like what to do about
Yeah,
this
what
Mari
to do about Murray.
situation
Hmm.
because he's got himself with a Henry Gale, if you will,
Yeah.
and it's like okay, like they're gonna come. What am I supposed to do? Obviously he can't win the war. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to. So we'll see where that goes. Oh, I also meant to say about the Misty telling Shauna about Natalie knowing where Ben is. I feel like that's also a potential bridge for more like leadership conflict and like specifically connecting to the thing from Shauna at the end of season two. I didn't say that, but I meant to. Okay. Well, you ready for the final scene slash sequence?
Let's do
This
it.
is the end of the episode, and going back and forth rapidly. So I'm just gonna like keep saying it. But I'll go through the whole thing because it's like one line for each thing at this point. This is the most we cut, like ever in these episodes, and they're clearly making an explicit point here. We'll let you decide what that point is. Okay, so in the present, Shauna gets ready for bed. Jeff comes in and says that dinner was important. Shauna tries to apologize, but Jeff leaves the room. Then Shauna gets on the phone. Back to the past. Shauna goes to the new baby grave and sees some flowers on it. She pulls a knife and demands for someone to come out. It's Melissa. Present. Shauna calls the restaurant about the phone and tries to follow up. Past. Melissa explains how she followed Shauna there. Present. Shauna asks if someone claimed the phone. Past. Shauna threatens Melissa. Present. They want to know why Shauna is asking. She gets annoyed and hangs up. Past. Melissa apologizes for what has happened to Shauna. Present. Shauna calls the restaurant again and asks to speak to the manager. Past. And she specifically does it quietly so that Callie won't hear, validating her point from
Yeah,
earlier.
that she's giving ask for manager
Yeah,
energy.
exactly. I didn't mention that, but I thought it was a nice little
Yeah.
touch that she does this like, can I speak to the manager?
Yeah.
Anyway, past. Melissa says everyone is afraid of Shauna, but she isn't. Shauna puts a knife to her throat and threatens to kill her if she tells anyone about this, meaning the baby grave, I think.
Yeah.
Present. Shauna confirms that someone did pick up the phone. Past. Shauna threatens Melissa some more, and Melissa interrupts by kissing her. Present. Shauna asks what she looked like. Past. Shauna kisses her back. Present. Shauna on the phone, maybe getting an answer, but we don't hear what it was. And that's the end of the episode. Thank you. Good night. Welcome to 2025, Yellowjackets, y'all. That was the intrigue no one expected. I've heard a lot of theories. I've heard a lot of here's some questions they have to answer. Do they ever mention um what if Melissa survived and also she had some kind of relationship with Shauna in the wilderness? And I'm like, is this in the journals? Does Jeff know about this? This raises all sorts of questions that like I wasn't thinking about at all.
Yeah, this definitely was not a prediction that I had. I did
Yeah.
not think
Why would you
that
predict
event.
this? It would be so weird. It's
Yeah.
like if you just came up with every possible thing, maybe you'd come up with it. But like, it's like, what? It comes out of nowhere. Of course, when you watch these episodes and you know where they're going, they're clearly setting it up. I didn't notice when we were watching it the first time. When we watch it again, like
Yeah.
the Shauna
The
Melissa thing is
bonding.
being built
It is.
through
Yeah.
all of these scenes. And so
Yeah.
it's clear that they knew they were going there. And the cutting is implying that she was the one in the bathroom. But it's just cutting. Doesn't have to mean that.
Yeah.
So I'm left to wonder.
If it is her, well, we don't know what's on the video,
Yeah.
but why draw the symbol?
Yeah.
It I mean, we can revisit that question once we have a better sense
Of what the
of the
answer is.
motivation.
Yeah. Because in Jeff's case, I
Because
think it was just like, I know shit about y'all and I can
yeah,
expose you. In this case, I'm really not sure. There's no specific threat here.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we hear people, throughout the show, there's various interpretations of what the symbol does and whether it should be feared or used. Like when we saw that Thaisa had drawn it on her wife's hand in the hospital.
Right,
And we're
right.
left to ask, does she think
Yeah.
this is a protective symbol
Yeah.
or what?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, an interesting place to end the episode. A cliffhanger about who picked up a cell phone at a restaurant.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
it's a weird cliffhanger, but
it's
yeah.
very weird.
I wonder how long, like, are they gonna open up with we hear what they looked like in the next episode, or like is Shauna gonna carry this around for a while before we know? You know, like I
Yeah,
just
I
don't
don't
wonder how
think
they're
we're
gonna play
gonna.
this.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get
You don't think we're gonna get it right away? You don't think they're gonna open up with Shauna on the phone? Oh, what? Blonde and like with a backwards ass hat?
that. Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. Well, we'll see.
But if it
But
happens, we'll be here to talk about
we
it.
will absolutely be here. Next week will probably be a little shorter because we'll just have one episode to talk about. But anyway, that's what it's gonna be for the rest of the season. But yeah, thanks for hanging in there with us. It was good times. And yeah, Yellow Jackets is back, y'all.
Oh
So
man.
buckle the fuck up.
Yep.
And with that, I will say a buzz,
Buzz, buzz,
buzz,
buzz.
buzz.